Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Konoha, Medical Ninja, One Punch Fly Six Paths Madara. Chapter 31. Chian Yu was overjoyed when he understood Kakashi's thoughts. My dynamic vision is pretty good. After breaking through to 1000 mental attributes not long ago, he finally opened Sharingan. And it is directly the 3 Guyu. Even if you don't open your eyes, today's dynamic vision is greatly improved. Seeing him say that, Kakashi chose to believe. I'm optimistic. This technique is relatively simple, but it has relatively high requirements for chakra's nature transformation, and there is also a certain demand for morphological changes. Saying that, Kakashi started to seal. Ugly, Mao, Shen. After the 3 seals were completed, a group of thunder light appeared in his hand, and the interlaced electric current made a harsh humming sound. Like thousands of birds chirping at the same time, the scene is very spectacular. This is chidori. When I used this technique to cut off the thunder and lightning in the sky, this technique became the S-level forbidden technique, Reikiri. Holding the Reikiri in hand and chatting, it really is a classic operation of Kakashi. Next, he explained some ninjutsu techniques and the use of chakra, and let Chian Yu try it out for himself. It is also unambiguous, according to the seal of the gourd painting the scoop. Just like that, under Kakashi's astonished gaze, the same thunder light appeared in Chian Yu's hands. Compared to the two, his chidori just hummed a little lower, which was a sign that the current was unstable. You try to attack that tree. Kakashi swallowed and pointed to a big tree. It's not enough to be able to use it, you have to hit the enemy. In the early stage, the 2 pillars were difficult to control chidori, and a large hole had to be plowed on the ground to attack the enemy. But how can it be hard to live with Chian Yu? The Sharingan didn't even start, just rushed out. The high-speed movement state did not have any effect on him, and the obstacles along the way were easily avoided. Thunder attribute chakra's stimulation of cells makes the speed 3 points faster than usual. Boom! The tree that was hit fell to the ground, splashing a large amount of dust on the ground. Kakashi was suddenly a little frustrated. He didn't expect to be so unfulfilled when he became a teacher for the first time. It's too fast to learn. At the beginning, it took him a whole year to develop chidori, and it was barely completed with the help of the teacher 4th Hokage. And how long did it take Chian Yu to learn? It's less than 10 minutes. On the other hand, Chian Yu is also very fond of this ninjutsu. Chidori's practicability is very high, and various derivative ninjutsu can be developed in the later stage, which belongs to a model of ninjutsu eating old. Most importantly, it is handsome. Whether you are strong or not is a temporary thing, but whether you are handsome or not is a lifelong career. Thank you, Kakashi-senpai, I like this ninjutsu very much. Seeing Chian Yu, who had become more proficient with chidori for the second time, Kakashi couldn't stand the blow any longer. Since you have learned it, my task has been completed. You practice hard, and I still have tasks to do. We are destined to see you again. After he finished talking, Kakashi immediately started the body flicker technique. If he stayed, he felt that his mentality would completely collapse. Chian Yu didn't mind either. Although he had learned ninjutsu, he was still not proficient. It takes more practice to make the nature transformation of the thunder attribute reach the ultimate, making the power of ninjutsu stronger. After leaving the training ground, Kakashi came to the Hokage building with ease. He needs to report today's affairs to Lord Hokage, and he can't just let himself be stimulated. Soon, he met 3rd generation in the office. Have you seen that little guy? How does it feel? Kakashi looked at his trousers, which were still a little wet, and pondered for 2 seconds. He's a talented kid, but he has a skinny personality. 3rd generation laughed, and naturally he also noticed something was wrong with Kakashi. Tell me carefully, what happened today? Although he is a voyeur, 3rd generation still has his own job, and it is impossible to stare at Chian Yu all day. Next, Kakashi recounted what happened in the afternoon one by one. Even he was surprised when he heard that Kakashi actually taught Reikiri to Chian Yu. You said he learned it in 10 minutes. Kakashi smiled wryly. To be precise, it was learned in 1 pass, and it also has very strong dynamic vision, which is very suitable for this trick. If it wasn't for Sharingan, I would have thought he belonged to the Uchiha family. 3rd generation removed the pipe from his mouth and his expression became serious. Chian Yu's performance far exceeded his expectations. According to Kakashi, ordinary Jonin would be killed if they didn't know Chian Yu. And that's not necessarily his full strength. Now that I have learned Reikiri, I am afraid that even Kakashi will take it seriously after using Sharingan. Kakashi, are there any other ninjas around the training ground today? The directionality is very obvious. Kakashi shook his head. Lord third generation, there are no other ninjas except me and Cameo Chian Yu. Including Root. Third generation breathed a sigh of relief, as long as Danzo didn't know. Konoha looks prosperous, but the strength of the ninja is seriously faulty, and there is a lack of real powerhouses. You have to keep the matter of Chian Yu a secret, and it is strictly forbidden for anyone to know his strength. Kakashi also got serious and agreed very seriously. Third generation said with emotion. I really hope he can grow up quickly, I can't take it anymore, old guy. It was just an ordinary self-deprecating sentence, but Kakashi was indeed a little startled. The amount of information revealed in this sentence is quite large. Future movie. ... The sun is setting, the sunset is dusk. After Kakashi left, Chian Yu stayed at the training ground for a long time. In just a few hours, his chidori has become very skilled, but some problems have also been exposed. It's too loud, and in some cases it's totally inappropriate. He couldn't understand why Kakashi often performed assassination missions, yet invented such an obvious ninjutsu. Simply tell the target, I'm here to kill you. Although the problem was discovered, Chian Yu was helpless. That's the nature of electric current. You ask Einstein and Tesla to come over, and he can't do noise reduction. So, he still needs to take control of Rasengan. Before it evolved into a spiral shuriken, Rasengan was still very suitable for such an old sixth task of assassination. However, it was getting late, and it would not be too late to start training tomorrow. Thinking of this, Chian Yu also left the training ground and walked towards Barbecue Q. After training all afternoon, he was also a little hungry. Reward yourself with a barbecue. Barbecue Q is a very famous barbecue restaurant in Konoha. The reason it is famous is because of its price. This is a barbecue restaurant with very high consumption, and the meat used in it is the top quality ingredients. It is said that the ninja are still raising them. Even ninjas have to weigh their wallets when they eat a meal. But for Chian Yu, this was not a problem. He's not a choji, and he can ruin a jonin with just 2 meals. The treatment at Konoha Hospital is still very good. After a few years, the small treasury is very sufficient. ... Boss, just one. Okay, wait a minute. After a brief conversation, the waiter led Chian Yu inside. Suddenly, someone called his name. Yo, Chian Yu, this way. Following the voice, Inuzuka Toga was sitting with Aburame Shino, next to a woman with 2 coats of paint on her face. Go down first. Instructing the waiter, Chian Yu came to a few people. I didn't expect to meet you here. Hello, Akamaru. Akamaru, who was lying on Tooth's head, barked twice in response. You came alone, why don't you come together? Inuzuka Ya first let him sit down, and then introduced, this is my sister, Inuzuka Hana. Don't introduce me, Cameo Chian Yu, I know you. Inuzuka Hana smiled and greeted, thank you for your help to my uncle. Chian Yu thought for a while, Inuzuka Lai, right. He once treated a ninja of the Inuzuka clan, and he should be the clan uncle in her mouth. Right. Shino remained silent, while Tooth was a little confused. Sister, what are you talking about? When did Chian Yu have a relationship with Uncle Lai? Inuzuka Hana explained the situation to her younger brother. Tooth was amazed, I didn't expect your medical ninjutsu to be so powerful. Chian Yu didn't say anything about this, shrugged and sat next to Fang. Stop talking about this, I'm starving to death. He has a good relationship with Ya, so don't be too polite. A few people chatted while eating, and the atmosphere was getting better. Inuzuka Hana ordered 2 bottles of shochu on a whim, making Chian Yu a little jealous. After so many years, he hasn't had a drink because those bosses wouldn't sell it to minors. Now seeing someone drinking in front of him, he naturally couldn't help it. Looking at Akamaru lying on his head, Chian Yu asked a question he had always wanted to ask. Yeah, Akamaru is 4 years old this year, right? Yeah, it was born in my Jonin school year, what's wrong? Ya was a little puzzled, and Akamaru also blinked those red eyes and looked at Chian Yu. Then why hasn't Akamaru's body changed much over the years? Ya smiled, so you wanted to ask this. This is the secret technique of our Inuzuka clan. Every ninja dog will be fed a lot of medicinal materials to strengthen their physique in the past few years, and their body shape will not change much. This feeding will not stop until the body can't bear it anymore. My Chimaru is the best ninja dog of this generation. According to the estimates of the elders in the clan, it may take several years for Chiwan's body to develop. Speaking of this, Ya was very proud and touched Akamaru's head affectionately. And Akamaru responded enthusiastically. It turned out to be so. Chian Yu suddenly realized that he had this doubt in his previous life. Why did a cute-looking Akamaru grow so big during the Shippuden period? However, he also wants to have pets. Do you still have ninja dogs in your clan? You don't need to be strong, just obedient and cute. This. Ya looked at his sister. Although he was the future patriarch, he was still young after all. No right to speak at all. It's up to me. Inuzuka Wa patted her chest and assured, I must choose a ninja dog for you, Chian Yu. The uncle was very kind to Inuzuka Hana. When he heard that the other party had withdrawn from the ninja ranks due to injury, Inuzuka Hana was still sad for a long time. And Chian Yu treated him well, which made her very grateful. Just take this opportunity to express some thanks. Then thank you Miss Wa. Chian Yu smiled and thanked him. His house was still a little deserted, and it would be nice to have a dog to accompany him. After dinner, Chian Yu wanted to check out, but was preempted by Hana Inuzuka. In her eyes, several people are children. How can children be treated as guests? The directions of the families were not the same. After saying goodbye, Chian Yu parted ways with them. The Aburame clan and the Inuzuka clan have their quarters next to each other. Along the way, Ya asked with some doubts, Shinai, you rarely talk with Chian Yu every time you are with Chian Yu. Do you have any opinion on him? Although Chian Yu is not the courtesan in the class, but in the circle of their tolerance second generation, the reputation is very good. But every time I meet, I just say hello, not words. This made Tooth have to think more. Shino pushed the sunglasses that she was wearing even in the dark and shook her head in denial. No, I have a very good impression of Chian Yu. This is a friend worth making. Tooth is even more puzzled. Then why are you? Shino sighed helplessly. Our family's secret arts are related to insects, and insects are the most intuitive beings. Tooth nodded, expressing clarity. The relationship between their two races is also very good, and he has also understood these common sense. Shino continued to explain. Every time I meet Chian Yu, the bugs in my body prevent me from approaching him because it's too dangerous. If I forcibly approach Mr. Chian Yu, it is very likely that I will be attacked. The aura he exudes is far stronger than that of the school's teachers. So, when the bugs in my body can't tell the difference between the enemy and me, I can only be silent. Fang and Inuzuka Hana were shocked. They didn't expect it was because of this reason. Janai's eyes were deep, and she turned her head to look in the direction where Chian Yu was gone. He still didn't say a word, that is even his father, the patriarch of the Shino clan. Can't bring him such terrifying coercion. For a while, the atmosphere became a little silent. Early the next morning, Hana Inuzuka came to Chian Yu's house with a small milk dog. You are lucky, this ninja dog was just sent from the family's breeding house, and his qualifications are also very good. It is a good partner. Chian Yu looked into her arms. This is a very cute little guy. The black and white hair looks soft, and there is a white vertical line in the middle of his forehead. Two black eyes were staring at him without blinking, as if to know that this is its future owner. Ow! Chian Yu was taken aback. Is that what a dog barks like? What breed of dog is this? Taking it from Inuzuka Hana's hand, Chian Yu grabbed the dog's head and asked casually. He didn't know much about dogs, and these little milk dogs all looked alike, so he couldn't tell them apart at all. And Inuzuka Hana was also stunned. The ninja world has no classification for dogs, but she still said. The blood of this ninja dog is very good, and it is said that there is a trace of wolf blood. Chian Yu nodded. He just asked casually. I don't expect it to fight for myself, it's enough to be cute. Inuzuka Wa said some precautions for raising dogs, and left a lot of dog food. When they came to the courtyard, Chian Yu sat in a simple kennel with the wooden plank he had trained before. The little milk dog also stayed by the side obediently, staring blankly at its owner. I don't know if it's an illusion, Chian Yu always feels like his dog. A bit stuck. It was noon until noon before Chian Yu had time to stop. I'll give you a name. Rubbing the dog's head, Chian Yu thought for a while, and finally decided. Just call you a style. In addition to Kagaya, there are several Otsutsuki in the ninja world, the most powerful of which is the one. He hopes that one day he will be able to rub a dog's head in anger. Ow, the little milk dog just barked softly. Half a month later, Chian Yu, dressed in casual clothes, sat in the rocking chair and closed her eyes in deep thought. He hit a wall. This bottleneck is not the growth of attributes. Konoha Hospital is still providing points and attributes continuously. Although the growth is slow, it is very stable. Sage body is also growing, and the chakra in the body is increasing at a rate visible to the naked eye. His bottleneck is the development of ninjutsu. It has been half a month since he obtained chidori, but the chidori flow he planned has not been realized. Rasengan's progress has also been unusually slow. This makes Chian Yu doubt, is he too stupid? In fact, this is just because it was too smooth before, and I felt uncomfortable when encountering some obstacles. Back then, it took Namikaze Minato 3 years to develop Rasengan. It is said that it took 2.5 years to get the name, and Sasuke was also the master of Chidori Ryu 3 years later. Chian Yu's state of studying for a while after school every day would be a ghost if it could be completed within half a month. After pondering for a long time, he opened the attribute panel and looked at the column of points. Credits: 28,386. After reaching 15,000 points, Chian Yu intends to directly exchange Ninetales chakra seeds. But a line of prompts from the system stopped him from doing so. Hint: the tailed beast chakra seeds will grow on their own after being exchanged. If the host needs to exchange other tailed beast chakra seeds for fusion, please exchange for chakra, the 9 tailed beasts at the same time, so as not to cause energy imbalance in the body. The translation is, if you exchange 9 tails chakra, then you become 9 tails Jinchuriki. If you are adding another tailed beast, be careful to explode and die. To get 10 tails, you need to exchange 10 tails directly, or exchange 9 seeds at one time. Fusion is done at the initial stage. Forms a 10 tails hatchling. Chian Yu took a look, and 8 tails Gyuki was worth 7,000, except for 9 tails chakra seed worth 1.5 W points. All other tailed beasts are 5,000 each. The total price is 5.7 W points. Chian Yu has been saving for nearly 6 years, and now he only has nearly 30,000 points. In the next few years, Konoha is not a big deal, and the number of points can be estimated. Unless you wait until Orochimaru unites Sand Shinobi Village to invade. The harvest was absolutely plentiful back then. Forget it, just spend the points, and it's just a number to keep. Finally, Chian Yu made up her mind and clicked on the system store. One of the products he had already taken a fancy to, but he was never willing to buy it. Ninja's nature. Talent skill. After obtaining it, the power of ninjutsu released by the host increases by 30%, and the recovery speed of chakra increases by 30%. Hidden effect. The ability to develop ninja magic tricks can reach the ultimate in the ninja world. A very powerful passive skill, not to mention the gain of ninjutsu and chakra's recovery speed. Just talking about this hidden effect made Chian Yu jealous. What is the concept of ninja ultimate? At least Sage of 6 Paths level. But the price is also very beautiful. A full 8,000 points. That's the price of half a 9 tails, even if it's just seeds. Chian Yu figured out that instead of saving points to be a hamster, it's better to spend a little first and let yourself have a good time. The big deal is to beat Urzu several more times in the future. As the protagonist, the points obtained by treating Urzu each time are very considerable. No, Naruto can't let it go. Naruto will have a shadow clone in the early stage, and the physique is really pulling his hips. As a good friend, he is obliged to help as much as he can. System, exchange the ninja's nature. As soon as the voice fell, the goods in the system dimmed, and there was a redemption sign on it. ? This is the end. Chian Yu was stunned. After a night of silence, Chian Yu came to the training ground early the next morning, intending to try the effect of this talent. And just an hour later, he completely understood the horror of ninja nature. Chidori Ryu, it's done. Rasengan, learned. Konoha 60 years, autumn. At the ninja school, Iruka walked into the classroom with a look of anger, followed by a dejected Naruto. You go to the back and stand for me for a day. Looking at the obedient Naruto, Iruka got angry again. Because of Naruto, he has been approached by third Hokage to talk to him for 6 years. After every naughty act, he was responsible for wiping his ass. The same is true today, and Naruto slipped out of the school if he didn't pay attention. With the bucket, Hokage Yan made a mess. I just bowed and apologized to those Anbu and guard ninjas who took care of the aftermath. Finished with Naruto and ready to start today's lesson. Glancing at the rest of the class unconsciously, Iruka's blood pressure went up. Where are Chian Yu and the others? In the huge classroom, several empty acts are particularly obvious. Except for one that belonged to Naruto, the other Irukas also remembered clearly. Chian Yu, Shikamaru, Tooth, and Choji. These 4 guys, including Naruto, are literally the 5 biggest scourges in the class. Sleeping in class, distracted, handing in blank papers, teasing pets, all the things that students can't do, these people do all of them. Looking at Ino and Hinata, who were about to be angry with Iruka, they looked at each other, full of helplessness. Ino stood up. Teacher, Chian Yu and the others are going to practice ninjutsu. After all, the graduation exam is coming soon, so it's understandable. Reluctantly found a reason for his unreliable man, Ino said that he did his best. Whether Iruka believed it or not, he did. Chian Yu didn't call me. He was just afraid that I would surpass him when I became stronger. Naruto, who was standing at the back, was unhappy and shouted in dissatisfaction. Idiot, Sasuke snorted disdainfully, and Haruno Sakura in the back row was fascinated. Sasuke, you're cursing. Shut up, Naruto. A tic-tac-toe appeared on Iruka's forehead, and he was about to be defeated by Naruto. Which of these guys who skip class is not beyond the existence of ordinary students, do you still need to practice 3-body technique? This is to fool him as a fool. Forget it, it's just a few days anyway. Iruka took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. Next week, as long as next week's graduation assessment, he will be free, and he will no longer have to face these unfortunate children. In a corner of the school, the group of 4 who skipped class at this time were paralyzed on their sun loungers leisurely. Chian Yu, you are indeed a genius. You actually thought of using a scroll to seal a chair. Shikamaru raised his head and faced Madara, who was covered by the leaves, with a contented expression on his face. Why hadn't he thought of this trick before? Go back to Dad to ask for a few scrolls, and then put all these things in. Choji nodded frantically, agreeing with Shikamaru. It's so comfortable to lie on a chair and eat potato chips. If he could seal the potato chips into the scroll, he wouldn't have to worry about not having anything to eat even if he left the village to do the quest. Chian Yu, please eat potato chips. Chian Yu was a little flattered that he could let Choji give up the food in his hand, which is not something ordinary people can do. In my impression, only Naruto and Shikamaru succeeded, and now there is another him. Ya was speechless. Aren't you afraid that teacher Iruka will be angry when he finds out? He will definitely be very angry. Don't worry. Shikamaru waved his hand. We are about to graduate soon, and there is nothing to talk about in the classroom now, at most the content of the exam. Iruka-sensei also needs to tutor Naruto's idiots, who have no time to come to us. The corners of Chian Yu's mouth twitched. Shikamaru's words were sharp, but they were cruel to Naruto. After hearing what Shikamaru said, Ya was relieved and sighed. In the blink of an eye, we'll be graduating soon. As soon as these words came out, the 4 were silent, and even Choji stopped eating potato chips. After next week they will be real ninjas. I don't know if there are still such easy days. Shikamaru was dazed. His biggest ideal was to marry an unbeautiful wife, and after a peaceful life, die before the other party. But since he was born in the ninja clan and was the son of the patriarch, there were some things he had to do. It's really troublesome. Life is not easy, Shikamaru sighs. Chian Yu knew that after they graduated, the entire ninja world would be completely turbulent. 3 years later, more battles with aliens will be staged. The current Chian Yu is still unable to achieve the level of high-speed flying and immortals fighting in the later stage. Urzu, he has been beaten by him at least 100 times in the past few years, and he has contributed a lot of points. But why hasn't Indra chakra been revealed yet? Is his reincarnation a fake? Thinking about the extermination of Shangguyu, Chian Yu doubted whether Urzuzi was the reincarnation of Indra. After all, every generation of Indra is a gift of genius. Seeing that his own words had messed up the atmosphere, Ya felt a little embarrassed, and quickly changed the subject. By the way, how do you think the classes will be divided? Shikamaru rolled his eyes. How else can I tell? Choji and Ino are definitely together. As for you, it is very likely that Kazuino and Hinata formed an investigation team. Shikamaru is well aware that dragons do not dwell with snakes. It is impossible for the children of these big families to team up with those civilians, and some of them also put a girl as lubricant. His dad's class was even worse. The Ino Shikacho trio were all male. The only thing that bothered him was Chian Yu. Although Chian Yu's strength is unclear to him. But Sasuke has challenged countless times over the years, all of which have ended in failure. The title of first in actual combat has always been firmly controlled by Chian Yu. This is enough to prove his power. Shikamaru is right. Tooth, Shikamaru, Ino and Hinata are all up to you. Chian Yu didn't care much about her class assignment, but more about the arrangement of her 2 little girlfriends. Don't worry, I will definitely protect Hinata. Fang patted his chest and assured, and Akamaru above his head also barked. Shikamaru also responded. Although his tone was lazy, Chian Yu believed that he would definitely be able to do it. It's a man's promise to a friend. When it was almost the end of school, the truancy group of 4 also struggled to get up. Chian Yu sealed the sun lounger into the scroll again and returned to the classroom. The time card is just right. As soon as Iruka walked on the front foot, they slipped in on the hind foot. Chian Yu. Ino jumped up in an instant. The 12-year-old girl had already grown up, and Chian Yu was a little confused by the youthful vitality that rushed to her face. Especially this small waist, it simply fascinated. And Hinata was a lot more shy, trotted over, and stood quietly beside him. Shikamaru and the others said hello and left, not choosing to be a light bulb. How is it? Did Iruka-sensei ask us? Stroking Ino's long smooth hair, Chian Yu asked with a smile. Of course I said it. Today, the teacher is very angry. If I didn't help you cover, you would be miserable. After saying that, Ino looked at him expectantly. Then I would like to thank my Ino. Chian Yu nodded her little head amusingly, and praised her vigorously following Ino's intentions. Ino put her arms around Chian Yu's neck, and her joy was nothing but Chian Yu's name. My home Ino. After a few years, she has determined that Chian Yu is the person who will accompany her all her life. Let's go. To celebrate that the teacher didn't trouble me today, let's go eat barbecue. With a wave of his hand, Chian Yu was about to leave with Hinata and Ino. Sasuke stopped in front of the 3 of them, and the whole person was full of fighting intent. Cameo Chian Yu, I'm going to challenge you. Just use today's results to put an end to the competition between you and me. Chian Yu was speechless. To a certain extent, Urzuzi's Shinshin is worthy of admiration. No matter how many times you are beaten, after making a little progress, you will feel confident again. Then continue to be beaten. Although it seems a little self-confident, this indomitable character is also a necessary factor to become a strong man. It's just, that's not the reason why you can't show Indra chakra. After thinking about it, Chian Yu agreed to Sasuke's request. Try again. Seeing this, little Sakura, who hadn't left yet, hurriedly said to Chian Yu, they are all classmates, you can't play hard. Chian Yu didn't even look at her, turned around and walked towards the playground. What a joke, who do you think you are, Sakura idiot? Also speak to him in this commanding tone. If you don't beat Sasuke into a pig's head today, he won't be a god. Sasuke also exploded, what do you mean? Can't I beat him? There is no doubt that the words of little Sakura deeply stabbed the remaining pride of Sasuke. That's not what I meant, little Sakura quickly and anxiously denied. but before he could finish speaking, Sasuke left behind Chian Yu. Only she was left standing on the spot, her face was blue and white. 10 minutes later, Uchiha Sasuke was lying on the ground in the playground, his face swollen like a pig's head. Hateful, he hammered the ground hard. Why did he train so hard that he couldn't even beat a cameo Chian Yu? If this goes on, when will he be able to seek revenge on Itachi? Ino and Hinata, who were watching from the sidelines, were not surprised. After so many years, they have watched Chian Yu beat Sasuke hundreds of times, and it has become a repertoire. There will be a visit almost every 3 or 5. Chian Yu walked up to Sasuke and began to treat him skillfully. Originally he had given up hope for Indra chakra, but today's system gave him a surprise. Heal Uchiha Sasuke, get spirit plus 1.3, Pure Indra chakra, points plus 10. Finally shipped. Immediately, Chian Yu's gaze towards Sasuke became much kinder. Zuzi, I'm too heavy-handed today. Come, I'll treat the pig's head for you. It's so wrong, how could Sasuke hit him so hard for giving him such a big gift? If it was in the past, Sasuke would definitely care about the name of the second pillar. But today's Chian Yu was in a bad mood and took a lot harder. Suddenly Sasuke doubts life. He trains hard every day. Why is the gap getting bigger and bigger? Chian Yu, how strong are you? Seeing this, Chian Yu hesitated and said, you'll know later, anyway, he's better than you. He was afraid that Sasuke would be beaten, and Itachi would definitely come to him desperately. Let's leave this to Sasuke in the future. Chian Yu left with Hinata, and Sasuke returned to the Uchiha tribe numbly. Today's stimulation was so great that even a confident person like him couldn't support it. After eating the barbecue, Chian Yu escorted the 2 daughters home. He found that Yamanaka Kaiichi and Hyuga Hiashi would often hide in his house and spy on him silently. Especially Yamanaka Kaiichi, every grievance must be turned into reality. 2 daughter slaves. Chian Yu complained in his heart, then pushed open the door of his house, and then froze. The neatly trimmed trees have become dilapidated, and the tables and chairs placed in the courtyard are also scattered on the lawn. Even the dummy he was training on was torn apart. Konoha, is this a tornado? Such thoughts flashed through Chian Yu's mind, but they disappeared immediately. Immediately, veins appeared on his forehead. A formula. A certain grown dog shivered when he heard his owner's roar. After a while of jumping around, Chian Yu finally forced Yishi into the dead corner of the storage room. Ow! Blinking innocent big eyes and wagging his tail, he seemed to be courting Chian Yu. It's just that I've seen this expression too many times. Chian Yu was indifferent to this and held the dog's head expressionlessly. As I said, if you are tearing down your house, I will eat dog meat. Wong wong. Yishi was terrified, and even his voice changed. It's too late, you have nothing to say now. Chian Yu's eyes became more dangerous. Suffer to death. In the main hall, Chian Yu picked up a cup of hot tea and took a sip. And the expression on his face was played badly, and he was lying beside him. The eyes full of wisdom are also distracted. Putting down the teacup, Chian Yu sighed. Who would have thought that the dog sent by Inuzuka Hana was actually an Erha? I couldn't see it when I was a child, but when I grew up a little bit, my nature was revealed. From making a mess of the furnishings in the house, to dismantling the house directly. If it hadn't been raised for several years, there would have been feelings. He really wanted a good meal. After sending the dog out, Chian Yu also put his mind on the system. Extract Indra chakra. As the voice fell, a yin chakra appeared in Dantian, and then went straight to the forehead. Immediately, Chian Yu's brain became cool, his mental strength began to increase sharply, and his pupil strength increased rapidly. Opening his eyes, the blood-colored 3-hook jade appeared. Chian Yu looked at the mirror, the 3-hook jade began to rotate, and as the speed increased, the phantom of Mangekyo was looming. The eyes have already begun to evolve, and after a while, Mangekyo can be achieved painlessly. Chian Yu has already begun to look forward to what his pupil technique is. Now that Indra is with Ashura chakra, after Mangekyo, the birth of Rinnegan is no problem. The only pity is that Indra and Ashura's chakra doesn't have the power of 6 paths. It's a little bit short of achieving the 6 paths level with this. However, when the time comes, the chakra of the nine-tailed beasts will be exchanged to achieve the power of all things. He can steadily step into the six paths level. Chian Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and the pressure in his heart was much less. With a happy mood, I made an artificial hot spring with fire style and water style, and soaked for a while. Chian Yu just went to bed. The week passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, it was the day of the graduation exam. Iruka stood on the podium and announced the content of this exam. Still the same as the original, as long as you successfully perform the clone technique, you can graduate. When Naruto heard that, his face turned green. His clone technique has always been poor, and until now, it's still on and off. It's really troublesome. Shikamaru crossed his arms and leaned back on the chair lazily. Chian Yu, is Naruto alright? As a good friend, Shikamaru naturally knew about Naruto's situation. Don't worry, Naruto will definitely become a ninja. Chian Yu, who was enjoying an Ino massage, waved his hand comfortably. After the exam, Naruto should also get his first hack, multiple shadow clone. Iruka pulls out a list and the students take turns walking to the podium and using the clone technique. 6 years have passed, and anyone with a little talent can successfully use the transformation technique. What's more, this is an elite class. Chian Yu and others also passed the exam successfully, and in the end, only Naruto was left. I saw Naruto walk to the podium, sweating profusely, with his hands in print. Clone technique. Immediately, a floppy clone, unable to even stand up, was lying on the ground. The whole class burst into laughter, even Chian Yu was amused. He knew it was because of the nine tails that Naruto had a hard time controlling the chakra in his body. But this is too much. This avatar looks like overindulgence. Unqualified, Uzumaki Naruto. Iruka sighed, although he also hoped that Naruto would pass the exam. Rules are rules. No, Iruka-sensei, I still have a great trick coming. Chian Yu cheered up and stared at Naruto so tightly that Sengoku almost stared out. Seduction technique. Naruto shouted, the smoke dissipated, and a beauty with blonde hair and big waves appeared in front of the class. Also did a kiss. The double ponytail fluttered in the wind, and the perfect body proportions made Iruka's nose bleed wildly, and she couldn't get up again. Chian Yu is also very pleased. This technique also has his heart and blood. After knowing that Naruto was filming in the red light district, Chian Yu took him to sneak in a few times in order to make Naruto more real. Looking at it now, his efforts were not in vain. Ino and Hinata blushed with embarrassment, but they could see Chian Yu's excited expression and thoughtful expression. Does Chian Yu like this type? Especially Ino, she looked at her blonde hair and her heart was beating wildly. Chian Yu, Naruto is a man. Hinata carefully pulled Chian Yu's sleeve with worry written all over her face. It is acceptable to find sisters, but Naruto is really not acceptable. Chian Yu was dumbfounded and ruffled Hinata's hair. What are you thinking? I'll just take a look. Well, let's take a look. Hinata nodded quickly, but still decided in his heart that he would keep an eye on Naruto in the future. Quote. At the end of the exam, including Chian Yu, a total of 30 people graduated. I need to come to school at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to assign classes and instructors. All disbanded. Looking at the lost Naruto, Chian Yu did not step forward, but glanced at Shuimu not far away. The plot cannot be spoiled. After school, Ya suggested that everyone get together, and it will be difficult to find a suitable time after starting the task. Chian Yu did not refute this. Zuzi, are you coming? Looking at Sasuke who hadn't gone far, Chian Yu shouted. Sasuke was taken aback, but he didn't expect Chian Yu to call him. Hey, since you invited me, let's go. Pretty arrogant. Chian Yu didn't care about Sasuke's attitude, and the group went to roast meat queue in a mighty manner. Little Sakura on the road saw Sasuke was there, and joined in shamelessly. So far, this year's 9 Xiaoqiang, except Naruto, are all here. The boss was overjoyed to see them, especially Choji. Every member of the Akamaru family is a gold kebab customer. At the dinner table, Ya and Choji were fighting, and Shino and Shikamaru were discussing the instructor's question. And Ino and Hinata kept feeding Chian Yu food. Sasuke felt like he didn't fit in with the atmosphere, even though Haruno Sakura was constantly harassing him next to him. But somehow, he remembered Naruto inexplicably. That idiot, it must be painful not to graduate. After eating and drinking, the gang disbanded. And when Chian Yu wanted to send Ino and Hinata home as usual, an Anbu appeared in front of him. Cameo Chian Yu, please go to the Hokage office immediately. At midnight, Naruto sneaked into the Hokage building. After the exam, Mizuki found Naruto, who was very frustrated, and told him about the existence of the sealed book. Naruto is very excited, as long as he can learn the above powerful ninjutsu. Then Mr. Iruka will definitely recognize him and allow him to graduate. Naruto. Chian Yu appeared silently at the door of the Hokage building, and Naruto almost cried out in fright. Chian Yu, why are you here? Chian Yu shrugged. I originally wanted to go to your house to comfort you at night, but I found you sneaking on the road, so I followed. I see. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief, completely ignoring the loophole in his words with his naivety. If he came here, why would Chian Yu wait for him at the door of the Hokage building? 2 hours ago, Chian Yu was taken to Third Generation's office by Anbu in a daze. Seeing that the two came in, Third Generation quickly put away the crystal ball. Seeing Chian Yu's contemptuous eyes, he coughed awkwardly and waved Anbu back. In the afternoon, Mizuki bewitched Naruto to steal the sealed book. I hope you can act with Naruto to prevent any accidents. Is it any good? Chian Yu asked rhetorically. Third Generation laughed. Boy. You can learn multiple shadow clone techniques with Naruto, which is perfect for you big ninjas like chakra. Third Generation also had a look of emotion on his face. Excluding the factor of 9 tails, Chian Yu's chakra was several times more than Naruto's. Too exaggerated. At this point, he was already extremely convinced that Chian Yu had deeply awakened Senju's physique. Maybe, it is possible to learn wood style in the future. Not enough. Chian Yu shook his head in rejection. Shadow clone doesn't suit my fighting style. Then what do you want? The ninjutsu of the Book of Seals has been used as an illusion. I can help you solve what you want to learn. When facing Chian Yu, Third Generation was surprisingly easy to talk. No need, I'll take a look when the time comes, and I'll just pick it myself. He wanted to learn too much, and Third Generation would definitely not hand it over at one time, so he might as well do it himself. Seeing what he said, Third Generation thought Chian Yu was going to come back and pick one, and immediately agreed. Okay, then do as you say. Time goes back to the present. After meeting Chian Yu, Naruto was even more happy. In his opinion, with Chian Yu's help, today's actions will surely be successful. So without any hesitation, I got rid of the whole thing. Chian Yu also agreed with Naruto to steal the sealed book together. In the Hokage building, all Anbu and the guards were separated, and the two entered the Hokage office unimpeded. Then, Naruto searched for half an hour before he found the sealed book on the desk. This made the corners of Third Generation's mouth twitch in the dark. Chian Yu, the stinky boy, didn't know how to cooperate, so he knew how to watch the play. Don't you know that his old man is tired of hiding for half an hour? Finally it was his turn. Naruto, Chian Yu, what are you doing? Third Generation appeared in front of Naruto elusively, with a gloomy expression on his face. Ah, Grandpa Third Generation. Naruto was a little scared by his sudden appearance, and then seduced him. Looking at this amount of bleeding, it is estimated that it will be several days. Chian Yu held his forehead. Seduction is really a magical ninjutsu. You can go back to 6 paths on the top and Hokage to the bottom. Countless powerful ninjas suffered a lot from this. If it didn't match his own style of painting, Chian Yu would also like to learn. Third Generation collapsed, and Naruto and Chian Yu slipped away. The two ran towards the forest with the scroll. Naruto, it's almost there, let's learn here. All right. Landing in a clearing, Chian Yu took the scroll from Naruto. As soon as the sealed book was opened, Naruto also came over. Shadow clone technique, just learn this. When Naruto saw the name, he felt very kind, as if he was destined. Chian Yu took a look and wrote it down, and continued to unroll the scroll. The ninjutsu behind him was blurred, apparently using illusion. But this didn't bother him. Sharing. 3 Tomo Sharingan appeared quietly, and the misty illusion was cracked in an instant. He knew third generation was peaking, but what about that? Now that Uchiha is gone, what kind of storm can a pair of three-hooked jade create? There is absolutely no need to be so careful. The forbidden techniques that are sought after by countless ninjas appear in Chian Yu's eyes. Dark skills, not bad, I learned it. Flying Thunder God, it's too long, write it down first. The ghouls are sealed, it's too bad to learn. Impure world reincarnation also has to deal with dead people, not to learn. While watching, he muttered again and again, he didn't know, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was peeping in the office, was shocked and his jaw dropped. What the hell, Chian Yu actually owns Sharingan, or Sengoyu? Could it be that Chian Yu belongs to the Uchiha clan? No, he hadn't heard Zefeng mention that he was Uchiha's bloodline. Is it? Lao Seppi instantly thought of countless plots and wanted to find his biological father for Chian Yu. It's a pity that he can't think of the existence of the system even if he thinks about it. Chian Yu picked for a long time, and finally chose a few ninjutsu. Dark Line Technique, Flying Thunder God, Tandem Paper Bombs Technique, and Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. As for Multiple Shadow Clone, he learned it after reading it. On the other side of Naruto, Chian Yu pondered for a while, but did not help him solve the illusion. Third generation is right, at this stage the most suitable for Naruto is the Multiple Shadow Clone, the rest of the ninjutsu is still too early for him. It didn't take long for Mizuki and Iruka to catch up. Chian Yu didn't intend to take action, and Naruto instantly created more than 2,000 shadow clones in a state of extreme anger. With a single punch, Mizuki, who is Chunin, was given to KO. Eventually, he was recognized by Iruka, who received a graduate disciple. Chiba has memorized a lot of ninjutsu. It can be said that everyone is happy. Only the world where Mizuki was injured has been achieved. Chian Yu returned to his home after Anbu took Mizuki away. And third Hokage has no intention of showing up at all. This is somewhat unexpected. He didn't even look for him, and his heart was too big. How could Chian Yu know that third generation was thinking of some strange love stories in his mind? Silent all night, Chian Yu woke up early in the morning and started preparing breakfast. One's own. The days are still so dull, and there is no excitement after becoming a ninja. After breakfast, I didn't rush to go to the ninja school. Instead, start daily morning exercises. It wasn't until 8:30 that he put on a black suit and tied the forehead protector to his arm. Looking at the handsome young man in the mirror, Chian Yu sighed. Really cheap future wives. Before leaving, Chian Yu silently tied Yi Shi. If I come back and find that there's nothing wrong with the house, you'll be miserable. Rubbing Erha's dog's head, Chian Yu said the most terrifying words in the gentlest tone. As a ninja dog, Yi Shi naturally has the ability to understand his words, and quickly put on a silly expression to be cute. Chian Yu smiled, he was just trying to frighten and be honest. It looks good now. Even when he was going out, Yi Shi called him twice to say goodbye. At 9 o'clock, I entered the classroom on time. At this time, there were already many people in the classroom, and they were all talking in twos and threes. Morning, Chian Yu. Shikamaru was very lackluster early in the morning, and said hello lazily. Morning, Shikamaru. Choji also raised his hand. After a round of greetings, Chian Yu also made it to the middle of Ino and Hinata. Although it is a ninja forehead protector, it is only the usage of ordinary ninjas. Hinata puts the forehead protector around the neck as a collar. And Ino is even more exaggerated, directly tying the forehead protector to the waist. The wide forehead protector is in stark contrast to Yingying's slender waist, and Chian Yu is a little tongue-tied when he sees it. Really exaggerated body proportions. Although Hinata's inner is not inferior to Ino, it is worn too much, and it is a set of cotton clothes all year round. Such a strong visual impact cannot be formed. After feeling Chian Yu's scorching gaze, Ino smiled smugly. Instead of being shy, he leaned closer. A woman is a person who pleases herself, and Ino is naturally happy that she can attract the boy she loves. The faint fragrance of the girl entered Chian Yu's nose. Chian Yu, I don't want to be separated from you. Holding his arms with both hands, he said coquettishly. As a descendant of the Ino Shikacho generation, her grouping was already doomed. Chian Yu also whispered comfort. Hinata also poked her fingers silently, feeling a little uneasy in her heart. Naturally, she also wanted to be assigned to the same class as Chian Yu. At this time, there was a commotion, and it was Naruto. His becoming a ninja took many by surprise. Naruto excitedly flaunted himself as a ninja, but no one paid him any attention. The girls surrounded Sasuke and kept showing their hospitality. The two handsome guys in the class, Chian Yu, are already famous, and they are still two famous young ladies. The remaining Sasuke, they naturally have to seize the opportunity. Little Sakura was also in the crowd, which made Naruto even more upset. Arrogantly jumped to the table in front of Sasuke, and the two began to look at each other affectionately. Naruto stared at him, and Sasuke couldn't back down in order to maintain his position, and the distance between the two was getting closer and closer. Soon, their noses will be sticking together. Chian Yu watched this scene speechlessly, knowing that what should come will come eventually. Hinata, Ino, listen to me, close your eyes, some things can't be seen, it will hurt your eyes. What? The two women were still wondering, when Chian Yu took them into his arms one by one and covered their eyes. Immediately after, the boy sitting in front of Sasuke started a perfect assist and unconsciously leaned back. Naruto lost his balance and had a direct, intimate encounter with Sasuke. At this moment, time stopped. The two parties' eyes widened at the same time, looking at each other in disbelief. Naruto's eyes reflected Sasuke, and Sasuke's eyes reflected Naruto. At this moment, they only have each other in their eyes. The classroom was also silent for 3 seconds before little Sakura shouted angrily. "Ah, Naruto, you are." The two separated. Chian Yu can clearly see that, it's brushed. Sure enough, these two are true love, and little Sakura. He strongly suspected that Sasuke married little Sakura just to have a reason to return to Konoha. Little Sakura, come back, I missed you. Sasuke, I am atonement. Naruto, come back, sass. Sasuke, time to go back and see. Hokage office. A group of guides, Jonin, under the leadership of the third generation, witnessed this scene with their own eyes. Cough cough. Looks like a little accident happened. Let's talk about the division next. The third generation is a little embarrassed to divert the topic, and the inheritance of Uchiha and fourth generation's purpose will not end there. Kakashi, the 7th class will be handed over to you, they are the future of Konoha, you must pay more attention. Kakashi had a headache. Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, Kamio Chian Yu, Haruno Sakura. Except for the last one, none of the three above are fuel-efficient lamps, and one is bigger than the other. But he couldn't refuse, he could only nod his fate. After all the directors Jonin left, third generation left Kakashi alone. Chian Yu has the bloodline of the Uchiha clan, and has also awakened Sangoyu. Kakashi, that's why I assigned him to you, only you can teach him some Sharingan skills. As soon as it came up, a bomb was placed, and the Kakashi was charred outside and tender inside. Uchiha blood, 3-hook jade. Thinking of Chian Yu's terrifying ninjutsu talent, Kakashi doubted that he could beat Chian Yu. Lord third generation, I'll do my best. Looking at Kakashi with a wry smile, third generation couldn't do anything. It is an established fact that Chian Yu opened Sharingan, and now the Uchiha family is gone. This is the power that belongs entirely to the village. In order for Chian Yu to better protect Konoha, he was also heartbroken. However, in addition to Kakashi, he also arranged first-hand preparations. In the classroom, after Naruto was beaten by little Sakura, Iruka also came. He took out a piece of paper and announced the classification of the classes. 7th class, Kamio Chian Yu, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, Vortex Naruto. Naruto jumped for joy when he heard that he was in a group with Chian Yu and little Sakura. But when he found out that Sasuke was also there, he jumped in anger again. It didn't take long. Instruct Jonin to come over one by one and take his students away. Ino was taken away by Asuma and looked at Chian Yu reluctantly before leaving. It didn't take long for Hong Yuhi to appear in the classroom in a bandage outfit, showing her long, straight legs. Chian Yu couldn't help but take a second glance. It's so white, no, it's so long. Hyuga Hinata, Inazukaya, Aburame Shino. Hong looked around and pronounced the names of the three. I'm Jonin, your 3 guide, Come with me. Come on, Hinata. Chian Yu encouraged Hinata. He knew that what Hinata lacked most was encouragement. Chian Yu, I will. Hinata nodded firmly and followed Hong. Hong glanced at this handsome boy curiously, but did not expect that the eldest lady of the Hyuga family was abducted while she was still a student. Soon, Chian Yu and the members of the original 7th class were left in the classroom. But after waiting for a long time, the guide Jonin still does not appear. Naruto has the worst patience, jumping up and down like a monkey. A crude trap is set at the end, ready to teach the late teacher a lesson. Sasuke and little Sakura are dismissive, and the worst instructor is also a special Jonin. How could they fall into such a simple trap? However, the fact is that beyond their expectations, the two were beaten in the face. Kakashi walked in unsuspectingly, facing a blackboard eraser. Naruto laughed, and even little Sakura's inner character was roaring. Is Konoha's Jonin this level? Sasuke frowned. Did Konoha give him such an unreliable guidance Jonin? Hateful. Chian Yu looked at Kakashi jokingly. This was one of the other's dark histories. Noticing his gaze, Kakashi felt a little ashamed even though he was covered by the mask. How should I put it? The first impression you gave me is quite disgusting. On the roof of a house, Kakashi sat on the railing and looked at the 4 people in front of him with one eye. Uzumaki Naruto, descendant of the master, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Uchiha Sasuke, the last orphan of the Uchiha family, no, and now Chian Yu is included. Cameo Chian Yu, not inferior to the genius of the 4th generation, is the descendant of the 3rd generation. Haruno Sakura, unremarkable. It's a headache, I can't worry about the composition of such a class. Introduce yourself. What to like, what to hate, future dreams and all that. After patting his head, Kakashi felt a little helpless. Forget it, let me give you an example first. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I don't want to tell you what I like and what I don't like. Dreams, there are many. Everyone was speechless, and they said a name after a long time. Really listen to your words, such as listening to a word. Naruto spoke first and said energetically, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, I like to eat Ichiraku ramen, and I like the Ichiraku ramen that Chian Yu invited me to eat. I hate Sasuke, my dream is to become Konoha's Hokage. It was followed by little Sakura, my name is Haruno Sakura, I like it. Sorry, no one is interested in a nympho info except Naruto. Sasuke also said coldly, Uchiha Sasuke, there is nothing to like, there are many things to hate, the future goal is to kill that man. Kakashi's eyes flickered, knowing who Sasuke was talking about. And Naruto and little Sakura were a little confused. Finally, it was Chian Yu's turn. Cameo Chian Yu, I like the beautiful young lady, and I hate a lot. It's a dream, I hope to live happily with them. Sasuke snorted disdainfully, he felt that Chian Yu was too unmotivated. Kakashi shrugged, now that we're done, let's start the mission tomorrow. What mission? Naruto was enthused. Survival drill, tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock, we will gather at the number 1 training ground. No breakfast is allowed. After saying that, Kakashi glanced at Chian Yu and left in an instant, leaving a few people looking at each other. Chian Yu said hello to Naruto and left. He and Hinata and Ino made an appointment for lunch. Who knew Kakashi came so late? The 2 girls had been waiting for him in a liquor store early. After the meeting, they also talked about their respective mentors, Jonin. Obviously, they were quite satisfied with their respective teachers. The 3 of them cherished the only one afternoon left. Although there would be time in the future, they all had to perform their tasks. In the Hokage office, 3rd generation looked at the old man in front of him with a smile. Gyugia, there is something that needs your attention. Sir Hokage, please speak. The old man, also known as Maru Shing Kosuke, looked at him vigilantly. Shouldn't he be promoted? Since he killed 2 teammates because of his own impulse when he was young, Kosuke Maru Shing has vowed to be a genin for a lifetime. Second Hokage also admired his will, and taught him a few ninjutsu and taijutsu for encouragement. It can be said that although it has the name of genin, its strength is definitely not inferior to the ordinary jonin, or even stronger. There is a good junior here, and you need to take him to perform some tasks. Lord 3rd generation, I'm just a genin. Kosuke thought that third generation wanted him to guide Jonin, and quickly refused. Third generation waved his hand. You are overthinking it, he has been assigned to Kakashi's subordinates, now you just need to take him to perform some tasks to gain experience. After all, those D-level tasks have no effect on this child. This is his consideration. In terms of strength, Chian Yu has gone far beyond the boundaries of genin. But experience is still lacking. And the role of Maru Shing Kosuke is to bring Chian Yu to grow up when Naruto and the others are performing D-level missions. In a few months, Konoha will usher in a grand event. The old-fashioned third generation has been keenly aware of a little unusual aura from it. For the sake of safety, he also wants to increase Konoha's combat power as much as possible. As that's so, Maru Shing Kosuke could hear the importance Hokage attached to that junior from his words, and since that was the case, he would also do his part. Konoha's will of fire should be to burn himself and illuminate the younger generation. The next day, Chian Yu still got up early, but did not rush to the training ground immediately. He knows Kakashi very well, and he knows the plot even more. This old boy is purely for tossing people, and he specifically pointed out that breakfast is not allowed. A proper black man. And Chian Yu finished the breakfast and practiced the ninjutsu written down from the sealed book for a while. He walked slowly towards the training ground. When he came here, he saw the trio who had endured to the limit. Naruto and the others really obeyed Kakashi's orders, didn't eat breakfast, and waited here before 5 o'clock. The three of them had dark circles under their eyes and were starving and shriveled. Chian Yu, why are you here so late? Naruto said with grief after seeing Chian Yu. What people fear most is inequality. The three of them suffer and suffer, but Chian Yu is so leisurely, even Naruto can't accept it. Sasuke and little Sakura on the side also looked at him resentfully. Chian Yu shrugged. Kakashi is the famous late king of Konoha, I think I'm a little early now. What the hell, why didn't you say such important news yesterday? All three of them scolded Chian Yu for being dishonest. I can't pretend I didn't hear that. Kakashi's faint voice came from behind Chian Yu, greeting with a smile, I just got lost on the road of life for a while. Naruto rolled the eyes of the dead fish. Kakashi-sensei, you're 5 hours late, we're starving to death. I'm not hungry, I ate before I came. Chian Yu backstabbed with a smile. This time, the trio was even more depressed. Kakashi was also speechless. He still wanted to trick Chian Yu, but he failed. Taking one out, Kakashi put it on the stake and introduced the rules of today's drill. There are 2 bells today. Only those who get the bells can pass my test, so there will definitely be some of you who will be eliminated. Ah, Naruto covered his head, doesn't that mean we have to eliminate 2 people? Can we eliminate only one Sasuke? He also wanted to team up with Chian Yu and little Sakura. At this time, even Sasuke became nervous, his fists clenched unconsciously. No, Kakashi shook his index finger, this test is only for the 3 of you, as for Chian Yu, it's an additional test. Although they were puzzled, Naruto and the others didn't have the energy to worry about Chian Yu anymore. Chian Yu, you can watch it first, and you can also help them customize a plan. Chian Yu shook his head, I can't watch it anymore, look. By the time they spoke, Sasuke and little Sakura had disappeared in place. Sasuke hides in a bush, ready to attack at any time, and little Sakura is also a textbook hiding. Although the strength is not good, the character is not good, but the knowledge in the textbook is still good. Naruto, on the other hand, was standing in front of Kakashi carelessly. Kakashi-sensei, let's have a showdown. Kakashi ignored him and quickly found out where Sasuke and little Sakura were hiding. The level is not bad. Even if he was blindfolded, it would not affect his ability to observe. Kakashi appreciates in his heart that although there is nothing to hide in his eyes, he is good enough as a genin. Chian Yu made it to the stake with a smile, go on, Naruto. Naruto laughed silly and gave him a thumbs up, look how I beat Kakashi-sensei. After saying that, he rushed towards Kakashi. Idiot, no matter how weak Kakashi is, it's at least a special jonin. Sasuke hid in the grass and hated that iron would become steel. He didn't expect Naruto to be so reckless. The tail of the crane is really the tail of the crane. Kakashi sighed, then took a copy of Intimacy Paradise out of his pocket and read it. Kakashi-sensei, why are you taking out a book? Naruto's movements were also stagnant, and he asked in confusion. Ah, I think one hand is enough to deal with you. Kakashi said weakly, focusing most of his attention on the book. He was seeing the pinch and didn't have time to talk to Naruto. Naruto was furious and charged directly in front of Kakashi with a straight punch. Although there is Chian Yu's guidance, from time to time, it has not been systematically practiced after all. No matter how much he punched, Kakashi would easily dodge it. This made Naruto feel very irritable, and the flaws in his body became obvious. Without much effort, he was provoked wide open. Kakashi drilled behind him, his hands forming the seal of a tiger. Sasuke and little Sakura were both sweating when they saw this scene. The seal of the tiger is a seal only needed for lethal ninjutsu. The secret of Konoha shinobi technique, the secret art of taijutsu. 1,000 years of death. Under the expectant gaze of Chian Yu, and the dull gaze of Sasuke's little Sakura, Kakashi shouted and sent Naruto to the sky. In that instant, Naruto's expression changed countless times. 3-point shock, 3-point struggle, 3-point pain. Even a little bit of comfort. In the end, it fell into the river, and there was no movement for a long time. However, when Kakashi turned to deal with Sasuke, Naruto jumped out of the river again. But the ending hasn't changed in the slightest. He was hanged from a tree mercilessly by Kakashi. And Sasuke caught a flaw and shot in an instant. After a physical confrontation, he released the Great Fireball, which won Kakashi's praise. This kind of performance is already very good, and it already has the level of Chunin. It's a pity that it is still too immature, and was killed by Earth-style's heart beheading technique. As for the remaining little Sakura, there is no way to fight back. As soon as she saw technique, she fainted. So far, the trio have been solved by Kakashi through taijutsu, ninjutsu, and illusion respectively. The worst performer was Naruto, who was tied to a post by Kakashi. The other two didn't look good, especially Sasuke, who knew that the gap between himself and Jonin was so big. Well, let's talk about the two of you later. Kakashi looked at Chian Yu, who had been sitting there watching the play, and his eyes became solemn. Let me take a look at your progress over the years, Chian Yu. Chian Yu also smiled. The body flicker technique was launched, and appeared directly on the training ground. The speed was so fast that Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly. Kakashi-sensei, then please give me more advice. Chapter 41. The two stood opposite each other. Looking at Chian Yu and Kakashi, the trio were also very curious. They wanted to know what was so special about Chian Yu that would require Kakashi to be assessed separately. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, illusion, Kakashi-sensei is really well-intentioned. Chian Yu didn't rush to fight, but chatted instead. As expected of the first technician of Konoha, his eyes are vicious. The tactical characteristics of the three people can be seen so quickly, and they are guided in a targeted manner. You can't be so casual with you. Kakashi was noncommittal and put the intimacy heaven in his pocket. Sasuke clearly saw that Kakashi's whole body was in a tense state at this time, which was a sign that he was ready to exert force at any time. And Kakashi still felt that it was not enough, so he removed the forehead protector that was blocking his left eye. The writing wheel has been used, isn't it a bit exaggerated? This time, even Chian Yu was a little surprised. Isn't it just an assessment, so serious? No way, my body is telling me that I have to go all out. Kakashi looked solemn, and Sasuke on the side was stunned. Why does he have Sharingan? Chian Yu sighed and seemed to be a little more serious. With his right hand on the ninja bag, the three-handed Raikon appeared in his hand, and the finished zigzag flew towards Kakashi. At the same time, the left hand made the seal with one hand, and the speed was so fast that Kakashi's Sharingan almost couldn't keep up. After so many years of contact, Chian Yu's printing speed reached 6 per second. And all kinds of bells and whistles. Ninja Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. 3 lily swords became 6, 12, and 36 in an instant. Kakashi couldn't dodge, and was directly tied into a hedgehog. Success. Naruto widened his eyes and shouted at Kakashi, who was covered in blood. Even little Sakura and Sasuke. But in the blink of an eye, the tattered figure turned into a piece of wood. Chian Yu was not surprised by this. How could a shuriken ever kill someone? A gust of wind came from behind. It was Kakashi who used cover for a melee attack after the body replacement technique. The speed is so fast that it can't be whispered on the same day as when playing against Naruto. Chian Yu's reaction was also very quick. 8 trigrams palms started, turned around, and turned over with the back hammer, at a very tricky angle. Kakashi was stunned by this unexpected move, and was hit directly in the back. Simply, Chian Yu didn't use too much force, but also took the initiative, and the two started a physical confrontation. Rub your hands, lift your hands, exert force on your feet, and run through your fingertips. An endless stream of small moves made Kakashi difficult to deal with. For more than 10 years in the ninja world, Kakashi has fought against many masters of taijutsu. Even Guy, the only one who became Jonin by physique, is his best friend, and the competition between the two is not rare. But Chian Yu's moves are different from anyone else's before, and some of them are somewhat similar to the 8 trigrams palms of the Hyuga family. But the force is extremely strong, and the movements are simple and capable, and at first glance, it is rushing to kill. Even with Sharingan's help, motion is still hard to see. Every few strokes, you will get 2 punches. And this is also one of the achievements of Chian Yu's practice over the past few years. After acquiring the talent of ninja nature, Chian Yu had a flash of inspiration when he practiced taijutsu, and moved out the fighting routines of various genres in his previous life. Among them are Wing Chun and Baji. After a slight modification in combination with his physique, a unique style of play was formed. Anticipate the enemy first, and attack the enemy from the weak. The first time it came out, it hit Kakashi hard. After a few more moves, he had to forcefully take the palm and back off. Rubbing his aching chest, Kakashi asked curiously, "Where did you learn this physique from?" Chian Yu smiled, "It's my own creation, combined with the experience of some seniors. You can call him Chian Yu Lu." Chian Yu Flow. Kakashi is silent, just graduated from ninja school. Does he have his own genre? Young people these days are monsters. And the 3 Sasukes have long been stunned. What a powerful gym. Chian Yu's strength is so strong that even Kakashi is inferior to 3 points. You know, just now the 3 of them were played wanton. ... Kakashi quickly formed a seal and spat a huge fireball from his mouth. Since the physique can't fight, it can only be ninjutsu. Great fireball technique. It's twice the size that Sasuke used. Water-style water barrier. The swirling flow of water gushed out from the ground to stop the fireball, and the collision of high temperature and water evaporated a large amount of water vapor. Kakashi's Sharingan is spinning very fast. This situation is not friendly to him. Sharingan has to see the opponent in order to play the best role. Water-style water dragon bomb. Chian Yu's voice sounded, and a ferocious water dragon roared up to the sky and charged towards Kakashi with anger. With the huge chakra, the size of the water dragon is very exaggerated. Kakashi's figure kept receding, buying himself time. This is not something a wall of earth can stop. Earth-style Tuliu city wall. Both hands slapped the ground fiercely, and the continuous earthen walls rose from the ground, and were washed away one by the water dragon. Finally, when the last one was left, the water dragon disintegrated with a woo, turning the ground into a mud puddle, with water pools of different sizes all over it. So, I don't like fighting ninjas like you who have so many chakras that they don't need money. Kakashi sighed, but was very envious in his heart. Due to the incompatibility between Sharingan and physique, it is always on. The chakra in the body is being consumed all the time. This also led to the dilemma that he would fall into a weak state if he played a few ninjutsu at random. Sorry Kakashi-sensei, I won this time. Kakashi, who was about to lean over to spy on Chian Yu's intelligence, froze, and a handful of kunai was already on his neck. Yeah, it's over. Boom. Single quote. It turned out to be a shadow clone that was held by kunai, and it disappeared directly into a cloud of smoke. And the real Kakashi did appear behind Chian Yu, holding his back with suffering. At the same time, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the teacher's dignity has been preserved. Boom. Chian Yu in front of Kakashi also disappeared. One Chian Yu appeared behind Kakashi. This time, Kakashi was really muggle. How could he know that Chian Yu, who had seen level 720 Hokage in his previous life, could not remember such a classic shadow clone nesting doll tactic? It turns out that he not only memorized it, but applied it very well. The battle is over. Due to the fog formed by fire style and water style, Naruto and the others did not see the ensuing battle clearly. When Kakashi and Chian Yu appeared in front of them, their expressions became very calm. Kakashi-sensei, who won? Naruto, who was tied to the stake, was the most curious, watching them back and forth, trying to find some clues. Sasuke and little Sakura were equally curious, but didn't feel embarrassed to ask. Especially Sasuke, he clearly saw the gap between himself and Chian Yu, which made him almost clench his teeth. It turns out that Chian Yu has been teasing him at school for the past few years. It's almost a draw. Chian Yu saved Kakashi's face, which made Kakashi relieved. It was a shame to lose to Genin on the first day of class, but fortunately the students are good people. It's amazing. Naruto looked at Chian Yu adoringly. For him, a tie was already super strong. After the defeat just now, Kakashi didn't even bother to test the bond between the three of them, so he let everyone pass the test with just a few words. At this point, the 7th class, which will be famous in the ninja world in the future, was established. At the same time, there was a beep from the system in Chian Yu's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host graduated from a vocational technical school and obtained a low-level professional title. The system began to upgrade, which is expected to take 6 hours. Can this broken system be upgraded? Chian Yu was a little surprised that the functions of the system had not changed in the slightest over the years. It was here waiting for him. However, he has no way of knowing what the specific update was. After the system is turned on and the upgrade is turned on, the function will be temporarily turned off. Chian Yu is not in a hurry, anyway, he will know in 6 hours. Putting his mind back to reality, Naruto over there was still bickering with Sasuke. Seeing that Kakashi was about to slip away, Chian Yu quickly stopped him. Teacher Kakashi, we finally passed the exam, shouldn't we celebrate? Seeing the wicked smile on his face, Kakashi felt bad, but it was too late. Naruto and the others also reacted and immediately surrounded him. Then thank you Kakashi-sensei. Seeing the look of anticipation on the faces of the four, he could only agree. Okay, then let's go. Barbecue Q, let's go. Chian Yu quickly answered the call and gave the location. Kakashi's painting style instantly turned black and white. Grilled meat Q, this is killing him. 2 hours later, Kakashi's heart cracked piece by piece, looking at the hills of plates in front of the four of them. This is too delicious. At checkout, Kakashi almost cleaned his clothes before he managed to scrape together enough money. If only Choji were here. Chian Yu rubbed his stomach and said that he was still not satisfied with the food. Who is Choji? Kakashi was a little puzzled, and he didn't know much about these juniors. Akamichi Choji, the descendant of the Akamaiki clan. Little Sakura answered honestly. Immediately, Kakashi's scalp went numb. However, this generation of Inoshika Cho seems to be brought by Asuma, so. Inexplicably, Kakashi's mood actually improved a lot. Sure enough, being miserable is the best way for humans to relieve negative emotions. When parting, Kakashi told several people to gather at the Hokage building tomorrow, but Chian Yu was not included. Lord Hokage has other arrangements for you, you don't have to act with us during this time. Chian Yu nodded, not surprised by this. He doesn't need to conduct D-level mission auxiliary training and cultivate tacit understanding. Back home, Chian Yu checked first and found that Ishii hadn't demolished the house, so he was relieved. He was afraid that after returning home every day, the house would look different. Looking at the time, it was still a few hours before the system upgrade was successful. Idle is also idle, it is better to continue to study ninjutsu. Today I used the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique, but the effect is not ideal. In Chian Yu, this technique is invincible if combined with Flying Thunder God. Therefore, he plans to suspend the research of chakra nature transformation for the next period of time, specializing in Flying Thunder God. Every time he learns Flying Thunder God, he admires Senju Tobirama very much. What kind of brain can we study the Flying Thunder God? Now he is a little bloated just looking at these theoretical knowledge about space. Fortunately, the ninja's nature is powerful. Although Flying Thunder God is difficult, the speed of progress is also visible to the naked eye. Time passed slowly, and night came in the blink of an eye. Ding! System upgrade successfully. Updated contents of Dr. Benevolence 2.0 version 1. Update the task system. Host and accept the tasks posted on the task bar. After completing the task, you will get points and item rewards. There is no compulsory access and no punishment. 2. The effect of the healing technique has evolved, and it can be reborn from a severed limb, treat injuries to the mind and soul, and restore vitality to a small extent. 3. Obtaining the title system. The current title is Genin. The bonus points will be increased by an additional 20%. In order to thank the host for their strong support for this system, on the occasion of this celebration, a graduation gift package is specially sent, please check. Chian Yu blinked and read the system announcements one by one. In fact, it is quite understandable. There is an additional channel for obtaining points, and there is no penalty for failing the mission. The effect of the treatment has become stronger, which is also good. As for the title system, Chian Yu had a toothache. He had already applied for early graduation if he knew that there was still such a benefit after graduation. Not to mention being a Hokage now, at least you can be a Jonin, right? How many points is this lost? Thinking of this, Chian Yu felt a little angry. The broken system had no intelligence at all, and he didn't know how to remind him. Forget it, upgrade quickly in the future, and you can't fish. The original Chian Yu also planned to be a 10,000 years genin, and then competed with Mingzuo for the title of some of the strongest genin in Konoha. It doesn't seem to work now. Finally, I turned my attention to the graduation gift bag. Open the gift bag. Please choose the type of gift package for the host: ninjutsu, attribute, bloodline, and life. You can also choose, which is fine. After thinking about it, you can learn ninjutsu by yourself, and there are too many types. If you draw a useless one, you will waste a gift package. Attributes can also be directly brushed. It is nothing more than a little more work for Shadow Clone. Bloodline already has 2 of the strongest plugins in the ninja world, these are unnecessary. Then weapons. So far, Chian Yu has not had a suitable weapon. Although the scope of ninjutsu is wide, the most effective way to kill people is to use weapons. Kunai is too short for Chian Yu. He is too long after all. Choose a weapon pack. Ding. Weapon graduation pack selected. Congratulations to the host for getting Bodu Soul. Chian Yu is happy, he has heard the name of this artifact. Budu Yusol. The sword of the legendary Jianyu Thunder God is extremely sharp and has various characteristics. Feature 1. As the legendary Thunder God, your Thunder attribute ninjutsu power is greatly improved. Feature 2. The size is arbitrary. After the host opens Susanoo, Jianyu Thor will also be turned into a matching weapon. As soon as he thought about it, a long sword appeared on Chian Yu's knees, with a rather ornate scabbard on it. Shish. Chian Yu pulled out the Butu Yusol, a standard Japanese concept, no distinction between swords and swords. However, that doesn't matter anymore. The sword body reflected a little bit of cold light, and with a random wave, the coffee table in front of him was cut off like a tofu. The sharpness made Chian Yu a little shocked. Next, inject some thunderbolt chakra. Immediately, the whole sword was covered with electricity, which looked very terrifying. After some experiments, Chian Yu was still very satisfied with the Butu Soul. Especially after entering the Gundam era, his Susa is also not short of weapons. Itachi's Susa is so fancy, he can't be much worse. The only pity is that Chian Yu did not deliberately learn swordsmanship, nor did he pay attention when reading the Book of Seals. Ask the 3rd generation old man tomorrow. With a plan in mind, Chian Yu also put away the Fudu Yuhun and continued to study Flying Thunder God. It wasn't until the early morning that he stretched, washed and then went back to the house to sleep. Early the next morning, Chian Yu went out. Neighbors also rejoiced when they saw the ninja forehead protector on his arm. Everyone has watched Chian Yu grow up, and they are very fond of this sensible child since childhood. Chian Yu responded with a smile, and her handsome face made many little girls blushed. Coming to the Hokage building, 3rd generation and another old man were waiting there early. Chian Yu raised his eyes slightly, and he knew this man after watching the animated version. Maru Kosuke. Chian Yu, come here. Third generation greeted him with a smile. This is Kosuke Maru Shing. He will form a temporary team with you to complete the mission. After all, those D-level missions are of no use to you. Chian Yu nodded, very politely. Hello, Maru Shing senpai. Maru Shing Kosuke nodded with a smile. His first impression of Chian Yu was very good. The third generation thing was finished, and it was Chian Yu's turn. I want to learn swordsmanship for a while. The old man will give me some scrolls. Third generation was stunned for a moment, looking at the gorgeous long sword on Chian Yu's waist. That's really a coincidence. Kosuke was once instructed by Nadaime some ninjutsu and swordsmanship. You can ask him if you don't understand anything. Only then did Chian Yu remember that in the original book, Kosuke Maru Shing did have a combination of illusion and swordsmanship. It seems to be called Lu. Jia also agreed. No problem, as long as brother Chian Yu wants to learn, I will teach it all. Then I will trouble Kosuke senpai. After coming out of Hokage's office, the two came to the mission hall. Senior, which task do you think I should take? Ask if you don't understand. Although Chian Yu has enough strength, his experience is definitely not as good as this 10,000 years genin. Maru Shing Kosuke was still smiling. So third generation said that you are not lacking in strength, but only in experience. That kind of long-distance escort task is time-consuming and laborious, so we won't take it. Chian Yu nodded in agreement. Generally, it takes at least 5 or 6 days for the escort task to go back and forth, which is really not worth it. Maru Shing Kosuke continued to analyze. The rest are assassination missions and intelligence spying missions. It depends on your preferences. Chian Yu doesn't like spying on intelligence. That kind of task is boring, and if it doesn't go well, it even takes a long time to hide. That leaves only the assassination mission. Let's choose the assassination mission. Jia nodded, not surprised by Chian Yu's choice. In the end, he chose a mission to clean up the bandits, and the mission was located in Niatu Mountain, a few hundred kilometers away from Konoha. At the speed of 2 people, they only need to stay in existence for 1 night to come back. After the task was selected, the two were also separated. Chian Yu, who had nothing to do, also went to see the news of Hinata and Ino. Like the 7th class, in order to cultivate team tacit understanding, they all started from the most basic D-level tasks. Seeing Chian Yu's appearance, Ino excitedly put down the rice in his hand and ran over to complain to him. And Shikamaru and Choji were forced to do her job too. Chian Yu looked at the two apologetically, and set out a shadow clone to help. Then the main body took Ino to the side to rest. The little girlfriend has been complaining about the unreliability of Asuma and Shikamaru, feeling that the team is over. And he also got an unexpected news from Ino. Now Asuma and Hong are not boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Asuma is just a suitor of Hong. And whether to answer or not, Hong is still considering. This is somewhat different from the original. After taking Ino with him for a while, Chian Yu left. He's also going to find Hinata. Sure enough, fraternity men have some hard work. Coincidentally, when he met the Hinata trio, they were chasing a cat. After seeing Chian Yu, Ya was overjoyed. Chian Yu, help catch that cat. Hearing this, Chian Yu stretched out his palm, wind-style gale palm. A small tornado emerged from his palm and pressed the running kitten directly against the wall. Ha, I finally caught it. Tooth came to the wall with a few ups and downs, and picked up the cat. Thanks Chian Yu, if you didn't take action, we would have to chase for a while. Akamaru also expressed his gratitude. Hinata trotted to Chian Yu's side with surprise in his eyes. Chian Yu, good. Smiling, reaching out and rubbing Hinata's little head, Chian Yu found that he really liked this action. Whether it is for Hinata or Ino, their small heads always make him fall in love. At this time, Hong Yuhi also appeared. As the guide Jonin, although she would not take action easily, she would also follow behind the students. Naturally, he also saw the scene where Chian Yu released his ninjutsu. Very precise chakra control. Not only do not hurt the kitten, but also to control it steadily. This is not something ordinary people can do. Inexplicably, Hong's impression of Chian Yu deepened a lot. Not only handsome, but also very powerful. Chian Yu was still a little excited about going out of the village. After traveling through the ninja world for so many years, the farthest place Chian Yu has gone is the Konoha forest. Strictly speaking, it is still Konoha. And this time, it was a serious departure from the village. Before leaving, Chian Yu checked his ninja kit again. Detonating talisman, kunai, shuriken, and some ration pills. Although with his physique, the chakra that Bing Liangwan can recover is very small. But it's also good to be full at critical moments. When he came to the Konoha gate, Maru Shing Kosuke was already standing there with a cauldron on his back. I kept you waiting, Maru Shing senpai. Chian Yu said apologetically, but Kosuke Maruxing didn't mind. I just came here too, let's go. Okay. After the two registered at the guard, they left Konoha. And this also allowed Chian Yu to meet the legendary Konoha gate god, Azumo and Gangzati. It is said that because of the existence of the two of them, even Nagato will go around to attack Konoha. Along the way, the speed of the two was not fast, and Maru Shing Kosuke introduced his mission experience again and again as he walked. Since third generation's request was to let Chian Yu grow up as soon as possible, he naturally had to help the younger generation in every way. Chian Yu listened very carefully. The ninja world is huge, and there are no wonders. He will not underestimate the world because of his strength. Perhaps encountering a familiar character in his previous life, he can easily deal with it with the master's information. But if you are arrogant because of this, you may suffer a big loss one day. The distance to Niatu Mountain is not too far, and even if they did not hurry with all their strength, they reached their destination at night. According to information, this is a group of real thieves, burning, killing, looting, and doing all kinds of evil. Countless innocent people died at their hands. The villagers who lived nearby couldn't bear it anymore, so they teamed up to get enough reward for the task and asked Konoha to take action. This is very common in the ninja world. After all, the backward daimyo system represents the existence of the gap between the rich and the poor. Rich people can spend a lot of money, while poor people can't even get the money for a C-level task. Along the way, Chian Yu also passed by many towns and villages. Compared with them, the villagers of Konoha are simply blissful. Even poor families can support their families through labor. Even the wealthy can hire ninjas to help them tend their fields. With the help of the Dark Knight, the two easily came to the foot of Niatu Mountain. The mission is to kill the bandits. They are all ordinary people. The only trouble is that these bandits have many hostages in their hands. The mission this time is entirely up to you, and I will follow your arrangements throughout. Maruxing Kosuke took out the quest scroll and said to Chian Yu. At the same time, Chian Yu's system also released the first task. Task: this world is deformed and needs your healing. The first step is the bandit in front of you. Killing life to protect life, killing business is not killing people. Please kill all the bandits in front of you and save all the innocent villagers. Task reward: 200 points. 200 points, a big and not small number, is all a windfall. This mission is not only to let Chian Yu see blood and become familiar with the feeling of killing, but also to test his heart. If the hostage's life is disregarded in order to complete the mission, it also means that Chian Yu is not powerful enough to become a Hokage. Konoha does not need to sacrifice the shadow of his subordinates at will. Hearing this, Chian Yu also understood the meaning. I know, in this case, I can do it alone, and I will trouble Senior Maru Shing to snatch the formation for me. No problem, Maru Shing Kosuke responded. The two moved quickly, and Maru Shing Kosuke found out where the hostages were being held, where more than a dozen bandits were guarding them. Chian Yu took out the Fudu Yuhun directly and jumped out. Lightning-style chakra revitalizes the body, and electricity is attached to the blade. Those guarding bandits were cut to death like melons and vegetables before they could raise the alarm. And they were able to sound the alarm because Chian Yu did so deliberately. Only in this way can all the other bandits be brought in to catch them all in one go. Because the Fudu Yuhun is too sharp, and Chian Yu can't make any sword moves. Only know how to use strong physical fitness to hack and slash. Many people were directly divided into several pieces, red and yellow things flew around, and the scene was very tragic. Facing this scene, Chian Yu didn't have the legendary feeling of wanting to vomit, but goosebumps climbed up his body. His spirit entered a wonderful state. 3 Tomo Sharingan appears automatically. And the other bandits who heard the movement here also rushed over, seeing the death of so many companions, and the blood in their bodies was thoroughly stimulated. Kill him. He's alone. What about ninjas? It's not that they haven't been killed. A bandit who seemed to be the leader roared, and the surrounding people rushed up, but he retreated quietly. They have killed ninjas, but they also paid more than 10 lives that time. This time, he won't rush up stupidly. Chian Yu was keenly aware of his movements. Sharingan glared. These bandits seemed to be immobilized, unable to move. A fistful of kunai slid out and pierced his throat under the terrified gaze of the leader. After dealing with all this, Chian Yu calmly raised the Fudu Yuhun and cut off the heads of these bandits one by one. He had just seen that most of the hostages were young girls. The look of dazed eyes tells of the sufferings he has suffered. Because of this, Chian Yu didn't have any burden to kill people, but more stimulated his blood. Every time a bandit was killed, his pupil strength increased by 1 point. When the head of the last bandit was cut off, the 3 tomo finally hooked together, forming a wonderful pattern. At the same time, the system beep sounded. Congratulations to host for completing the task and earning 200 points. It's just this scene that no one saw. Even Maru Shing Kosuke could only see Chian Yu's back. Brother Chian Yu, are you alright? Maru Shing Kosuke asked worriedly. Many people will change their temperament after killing too much. He worries that Chian Yu is the same. Maru Shing Kosuke could see clearly the merciless means just now. Hearing this, Chian Yu quickly converged chakra, Mangekyo Sharingan disappeared, and his pupils returned to normal. He turned his head and smiled. Of course it's alright, I just think it's cheaper for these bandits to die so quickly. Looking at Chian Yu, who seemed to have nothing happened, Kosuke Maruxing was a little dazed. This person's temperament changes too fast. After sending the hostages back to their villages, they received heartfelt gratitude from the villagers. Chian Yu also successfully completed the first task in her life. Seeing that it was too late, Maru Shing Kosuke proposed to stay at a hotel in a nearby town for one night. Anyway, there is nothing important in Konoha, and proper relaxation is also part of the practice. Chian Yu readily agreed. Coincidentally, he also needed a quiet place to study the Mangekyo Sharingan he had just acquired. Inside the hotel room, Chian Yu set up a simple alarm barrier to prevent outsiders from breaking in. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, the lines of Mangekyo appeared on both eyes. The surging pupil power boiled in his mind, and Chian Yu felt the 4 pupil techniques lodged in his eyes. That's right, 4. 2 belong to Autonomous Awakening, and the other 2 are Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi, contributed by Itachi. After some research, Chian Yu also found out about his 2 pupil skills. Sadly, not the double Kamui he was hoping for. The first pupil technique, Sheoming Viguna, can shrink any inanimate object and restore it to its original shape instantly. As for the living body, it can only change its own size. The second pupil technique, Tianzi in Destiny, can control any object attached to its own chakra, and can conduct chakra through the air. Invincible. After seeing the effects of these 2 pupil techniques, such an idea instantly appeared in Chian Yu's mind. Sheoming Viguna is simply too strong to shrink any object. If Naruto throws a Sage Art oversized Jade Spiral Shuriken, then he can directly use the pupil technique to turn it into a mini spiral shuriken, and its power will drop sharply. At critical moments, you can also reduce your own reminders so that the enemy loses the attack target, which is very unsolved. As for Tianzi in Destiny, it may have a general effect when taken out alone, but with Sheoming Viguna, the 2 are simply a perfect match. However, Sheoming Viguna, this seems to be a one-of-a-kind skill. Not the one at home, but the one outside. Looking at Bodu Yuhun hanging on the wall, he directly controlled him to float to his side with Tianzi and Ding, and then used Sheoming Viguna to shrink. In the end, a pendant was formed, and he hung it around his neck. This saves a lot of trouble. Chian Yu is not at all concerned about the side effects of Mangekyo's blindness due to overuse of his eyes. He has a sage body, and this loss has been made up without feeling it. Not only that, he also found that his pupil power was still growing at an incredible speed. It seems that Mangekyo is not an end, but a beginning. Perhaps, when the pupil power has accumulated to a certain level, the eternal Mangekyo will naturally open. System, open my properties panel. The light curtain unfolds. Character: Cameo Chian Yu. Age: 13. Constitution: 4396. Sage body is awakening. Spirit: 3900. Immortal eyes awakening. Chatanla: 5.6 Ming. Talent: Ninja nature. Skills: Chakra refinement 9, Reikiri 9, Chidori Ryu 9, Rasengan ninjutsu 8, slightly. Chakra attributes: Wind 8, Thunder 9, Earth 7, Fire 8, Water 7, Yin 7, Yang 8. Credits: 45,654. Evaluation: The strong in the cage level, the all-round development has no dead ends, a generation of ninjutsu masters. A high-level scary ninjutsu, and an exaggerated chakra nature transformation. Chian Yu's properties panel is gorgeous. Among them, the ninja's nature has played a decisive role. It is precisely because of this talent that Chian Yu's various ninjutsu levels can be rapidly improved. If it is only about ninjutsu, this ninja world can compete with him for one attribute. But if you want to talk about the 5 elements plus yin and yang, sorry, there really isn't one. Not even Nagato. Of course, this does not mean that Chian Yu can beat Nagato. After all, Rinnegan's skills are indeed a bit buggy, and he still needs to work hard. After appreciating his attributes, Chian Yu rested contentedly. As for Susanoo's research movement too much, it is not suitable here. Wait until one day to find an unmanned environment and do exploration. Early the next morning, Chian Yu and Maru Shing Kosuke greeted and came to the street. After a hard trip, I have to bring back some small gifts for Hinata and Ino. But while walking around, there are big bags and small bags in hand. No way, since he brought gifts to Hinata and the others, Naruto should also bring them. Since Naruto brought it, should Shikamaru and Choji also bring it? Thinking of this, Chian Yu simply counted all Ju Shaoqiang, leaving no one behind. Of course, here is the new version of the 9 little strong, not counting Haruno Sakura. If you count the little Sakura, it is the 13 little strong, including Neji 3, and the number 13 is not auspicious. Find a place where there is no one, and use Xiaoming Viguna to turn the baggage in his hand into the size of a military ration pill, and stuff it directly into the ninja bag. On the way back, the two of them slowed down a lot. Chian Yu also took this opportunity to ask Maru Shing Kosuke about swordsmanship. Konoha Lulu is an illusion swordsmanship, which does not match Chian Yu's personality. He took a thunderous offensive line. But that doesn't mean Kosuke Maru doesn't have anything to teach him. After living for so many years, it is not an exaggeration to be called a living fossil of Konoha, and there are many good things about Maru Shing Kosuke. The two walked and taught at the same time. Along the way, Maru Shing Kosuke's appreciation of Chian Yu has been raised to a new level. This kid's talent is too high, and often a random call will bring him a lot. In just 2 days, when they arrived at Konoha, Chian Yu has learned 7 to 88 in his swordsmanship. The two rely on swordsmanship alone to learn from each other, and it takes a lot of effort to win this kid. Looking at Konoha, who had not seen him for a few days, Chian Yu felt the intimacy of Yuzu returning home. It turned out that before he knew it, he had already made this place his home. Yes, he has lovers and friends here. Only their existence can make themselves feel that the world is real. Chian Yu, who was standing at the Konoha gate, shook his head and laughed. How old is he? Thinks so much about what to do. Peace of mind here, this is my hometown. You go back first, I'll just report to Lord 3rd Generation. After 2 days of repairs, we continue to carry out the mission. Back in Konoha, Maru Shing Kosuke did not ask Chian Yu to go to the Hokage building with him to hand in the task. Anyway, the general task report only needs to be registered. Chian Yu nodded when he heard the words, then I will trouble Senior Gu Jia. He did have the idea of going to Hinata and Ino. As for other people's gifts, it's good to give them away when they have the opportunity. Seeing Chian Yu, who was a little hurried in his footsteps, Maru Shing Kosuke smiled. He likes this kid more and more. Carrying his own cauldron, Maru Shing Kosuke Yuya came to the Hokage building and met 3rd Generation. Back, how are you feeling? 3rd Generation didn't look up, but continued to deal with the documents on hand. After reading one, he stamped his own seal, and then read the next one. The big event is getting closer and closer, and more things are happening. So far, there have been many ninja villages preparing to take the public exam. In addition, there will also be aristocrats and even big names from many countries. Konoha must do all the preparations and show his strength to the outside world. This kept the 69-year-old third generation busy, and even looked haggard. On top of that, even the daily voyeur spa program was cut by 2 hours. Very good, I finally understand why you like Chian Yu so much. In time, he must be the mainstay of Konoha. Third generation raised his head in surprise. He did not expect Kosuke Maru Shing to give such a high evaluation. Tell me in detail. Maru Shing Kosuke said all the things one by one, and third generation grinned when he heard it. What he was happy about was not Chian Yu's strength, but Chian Yu's behavior. Punish the perpetrators with capital punishment and show mercy to the weak. This is the measure of shadow. Then it will take another month for you to work hard. After he has accumulated a certain amount of experience, I will let him return to the 7th class to cultivate the bond. No problem, Kosuke Maruxing agreed without hesitation. He also wanted to see how far Chian Yu could go. On the other hand, Chian Yu found Hinata very easily. After all, Konoha Genin went back and forth on those tasks, and the locations were fixed. Coupled with his familiarity with Hinata chakra, he soon saw the 8th class in a river. Chian Yu. When Hinata saw her sweetheart, she immediately threw away the weeds in her hands and ran into Chian Yu's arms. Although it's only been a few days that we haven't seen each other, but she misses her tightly. I've been a little distracted when I'm out of work these days. Now that Chian Yu is back, he is also relieved. Holding Hinata tightly in his arms, Chian Yu also expressed his feelings with his actions. One couldn't hold back and kissed. Hinata's eyes widened, her cheeks flushed like a cloud of fire, and she fainted. This time Chian Yu felt numb. When I got emotional, I forgot about Hinata's shy physique for a while. Not knowing whether to laugh or cry and hug Hinata, Chian Yu said apologetically to Hong Yuhi, who was watching the play with great interest. Mr. Hong, Hinata can't carry out the task like this, so I'll take her away first. Shino, Toga, I'll trouble you with the rest. Hong Yuhi said teasingly. Then I will hand Hinata to you, don't do anything you shouldn't do. Chian Yu, I can't tell, this Yuri Hong is still an old driver. Don't worry, Hinata is still young, so I won't mess around. Besides, I should find a beautiful lady like Teacher Hong. In response, Chian Yu jumped onto the roof with Hinata in her arms before Hong could react. A few ups and downs disappeared in Yuhihiko's line of sight. And Hong still stood there blankly. Is she being molested by a kid? Thinking of this, Hong took a sip, and a blush appeared on his face. It's all Kakashi's fault. He takes this 18 ban every day, and now he's teaching children badly. In his mind, Chian Yu's delicate face, which was shaped by the creator's own hands, appeared in his mind, and his red face was even more unnatural. Hinata's coma didn't last long, it was just a stress response from the body. However, she was still a little shy when she woke up, and Chian Yu's small hand was also firmly grasped. The posture between the two is very intimate. Chian Yu, can you let me go? No, Chian Yu refused. I'm here to help you adjust to your future life. Imagine that we have to live together for a lifetime in the future. It's not easy to be so shy. Hinata heard what Chian Yu said about her life, her heart was warm, and she even forgot to be shy. For a whole afternoon, the two of them regarded Konoha as a tourist attraction just like other young couples. The two strolled along the commercial street, looking for interesting shops. I also went to Ichiraku Ramen. Under the surprised eyes of Uncle Ichiraku, Hinata ate 15 bowls in a row. Finally, I went to Hokage Yanyan, where Chian Yu personally put on the bracelet he bought for Hinata. In the setting sun, he kissed again. Only this time, Hinata didn't faint, but responded with an effort. As night fell, the world of the two came to an end. Hinata reluctantly held Chian Yu's hand and walked towards the Hyuga family. The relationship between the two has heated up rapidly in just a few hours, and they are in the stage of you and me. It's just like that, not to mention how uncomfortable she is in her heart. It's just that Hyuga's house rules are extremely strict, and there are strict requirements for the time to go home every day. Hinata can't change either. At the last moment, Chian Yu and Hinata came to the Hyuga clan. The figure of Hyuga Hiashi appeared there unexpectedly, and there was another little girl with white eyes standing beside him. It is the sister-in-law Hyuga Hanabi. This is the first time Chian Yu has met Hanabi. He found that the cuteness of the sister-in-law was not at all inferior to the Hinata of the year. Even a little more lively. Hanabi's eyes widened, looking at his older sister and a handsome big brother holding hands. And Hiashi looked at them blankly. Hinata was taken aback by the sudden appearance of Hiashi, and subconsciously wanted to withdraw his hand. However, it was held tightly by Chian Yu. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Short words gave Hinata infinite power. Some things have to be faced sooner or later, even her father can't stop her determination to be with Chian Yu. The actions of the young couple were all watched by Hiashi. He finally spoke. Cameo Chian Yu, chat. Inside a tea room of the Hyuga clan. Chian Yu and Hiashi faced each other in the most traditional way of kneeling. And Hiashi was fiddling with a tea set. Chian Yu looked at the quaint tea room, and every piece of furniture revealed the history. It should be said that it is a wealthy family. He couldn't even afford this small tea room. Try it. Hiashi pushed over a cup of clear tea and motioned Chian Yu to taste it. Chian Yu took a sip, then shook his head. "It's delicious, but I can't tell where it's good." He doesn't know much about tea either, and drinking tea is usually just a pastime. No matter how good the tea is, it is the same evaluation. Maybe Shikamaru will be better at these. Hyuga Hiashi didn't expect Chian Yu to be so upright, and for a while his emotions were a little disconnected. Well, honesty is good. After speaking, Hiashi wanted to give himself a mouthful. Why did he boast about this stinky boy? Soon, he straightened his posture, and the aura of the head of the clan radiated from the inside out. As the patriarch of the largest clan in Konoha today, Hiashi's identity has to bow his head even if Jonin sees it, and his mouth will be an adult. It just has no effect on Chian Yu. Joke. Third generation. He always called the old man directly. "What are you dragging as a patriarch?" Seeing that he was not threatened, Hiashi's eyes flashed with admiration, and he spoke in a deep voice. Cameo Chian Yu, father Cameo and Wind, Konoha Jonin, once served as the guard of the third generation. Mother Cameo Keiko, medical Jonin, briefly studied medical ninjutsu with Master Tsunade, one of the Sanins. In a few words, the identity of Chian Yu's parents was made clear, and Hiashi continued. Cameo Chian Yu, your identity is quite good for Konoha, especially since your father died in the line of duty to save the third generation, and he left a legacy of incense. But you shouldn't, come to Hinata's idea. Chian Yu was not angry, and looked at him with interest. So what? Hinata and I really like each other. There is always a sense of sight of watching urban dramas in previous lives. He is a poor boy, and Hinata is a dead end by Fume. Then Hiashi is the bad father-in-law who looks down on the poor boy. Hiashi seemed irritated by his indifferent attitude. Do you know what the Hyuga family represents? 36 Jonin, 60 special Jonin, hundreds of Chunin. This is the heritage of the Hyuga family. Even if you are talented, you are not the opponent of the ninja clan, nor the opponent of the Hyuga clan. And Hinata is the eldest lady of my clan, and her blood will never be allowed to flow out of the clan. It's still too late for you to let go while you know so few people. Chian Yu was thoughtful. He seemed to understand the purpose of Hiashi talking to him today. However, this father-in-law still underestimated him. Chian Yu's lazy sitting posture instantly straightened up, and his black pupils also sharpened. Father-in-law, no, Patriarch Hyuga, if what you said was really useful, would your brother still die 10 years ago? In a word, it plunged directly into Hiashi's heart. This is the pain in his heart forever. Just because of the third generation's compromise policy, his younger brother Hyuga Hisashi would not have died for him. How dare this kid? Hiashi burst out with a powerful chakra, and the white eyes opened automatically. It's just that he is stubborn, and Chian Yu is even more stubborn than him. Chakra, far bigger than Hiashi, surged out. The coffee table in front of them cracked instantly, and Hiashi's chakra was also forced back into the body. Patriarch. Feeling the explosive momentum here, the 4 branch house guards rushed in. The red light in Chian Yu's eyes flashed, and the guards of the special Jonin level stopped moving, and their limbs kept shaking. In their worldview, 4 thick wedges have penetrated deeply into their bodies, and the pain that goes deep into the bone marrow makes the soul tremble. Magic hanging technique. Although Chian Yu doesn't usually use illusions, don't forget that he inherited Shisui's bloodline talent. In the research of illusion, it is definitely not weak. Coupled with the surprise, with just this one move, the 4 special Jonin were instantly killed. Hiyashi's face was full of astonishment. Although it was only fleeting, he could see clearly. That's Sharingan. Chian Yu actually has the bloodline of Uchiha. Patriarch Hiashi. For ordinary ninjas, the ninja might really be an insurmountable mountain. But for the real strong, one person is a family. Chian Yu stood up, patted the sawdust that splashed on his body, and looked at Hiashi meaningfully. I know your concerns, but trust me, with me, neither Hinata nor Hanabi will be branded as caged bird. After he finished speaking, he walked out of the hallway, leaving Hiashi alone, sitting there in a daze. This kid. At the gate, Chian Yu saw Hinata, who was waiting anxiously, and Hanabi, who was overwhelmed. In order to prevent Hinata from breaking in suddenly, Hiashi kept them away from the tea room. So Hinata could only stand there obediently and wait. After seeing Chian Yu come out, she hurriedly greeted him. Chian Yu, did your father embarrass you? Of course not, he's been nice to me. Chian Yu rubbed Hinata's hair, signaling her not to worry. But I just felt your chakra. Hinata said worriedly. It's just that my future father-in-law is examining my strength. Erwin made an excuse and looked at Hanabi, who was looking at him curiously. This is Hanabi, so cute, she must be a beauty when she grows up. Chian Yu leaned down and looked at little Loli with a smile on her face. Hanabi hid behind Hinata in fear, which made Chian Yu laugh. Okay, it's getting late, it's time for me to go home and rest. Chian Yu said to Hinata, telling her not to think too much, all problems will be solved by him. Looking at his distant back, Hanabi finally came out from behind his sister. She had never seen her weak sister look so anxious. What kind of magic does this Chian Yu have? Sister, Hanabi tugged at Hinata's sleeve, her pure white pupils shining extraordinarily. Tell me your brother-in-law's story. What happened at Hyuga's house did not affect Chian Yu in any way. At least, as you can see from yesterday's conversation, Hiashi has nothing against things between him and Hinata. He was only worried about the rest of the Zong family. Chian Yu has always been confused about the branch house system of the Hyuga family. Hazashi became the branch house as the younger brother of the patriarch, while some immortal elders were the clan. How is this divided? However, since Hiashi doesn't object to their affairs, the rest of the people are turkeys. The next day, Chian Yu still had no assignments. He was with Hinata yesterday, and of course he was with Ino today. Still the same process, the same routine. Chian Yu received another first kiss from the little girl. Truly a scumbag. When Maru Shing Kosuke saw Chian Yu again, he had a narrow smile on his face. You're blushing, it seems that the Hyuga family's affairs are not on your mind. Chian Yu was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't expect Kosuke Maruxing to know about this. But soon he figured it out. It was probably what third generation said. At Konoha village, nothing can hide from third generation's eyeliner. Except for Danzo. It's just a bunch of stubborn old men. Maru Shing senpai, let's go take the mission. Chian Yu didn't want to dwell on this question and walked directly towards the Hokage building. Seeing this, Maru Shing Kosuke also followed. Originally, Chian Yu planned to take on a mission to clear the bandits nearby, but halfway through, he was invited by Anbu to Hokage's office. Third generation saw him come in, and smiled. Chian Yu, Jia, you are finally here. There is just one task here that is very suitable for you. He didn't say anything about the Hyuga family, which was trivial in third generation's eyes. Chian Yu was curious and didn't know what task it was, and it needed to be released directly by third generation. Soon, he got the mission information. 3 years ago, a special Jonin named Lu Chinkui bewitched his disciple, Senaida, and stole the Book of Seals and the Sword of Thor. Under the valiant pursuit of Ibushi Mori, the sealed book was retaken with difficulty. But the Sword of Thor was still taken away by Lu Chinkui. 3 years later, Lu Chinkui not only lived well, but also became the Jonin of Rain Shinobi Village. This time, third generation happened to know the other party's information. Green Kui will go to the country of grass to assassinate a noble. For Konoha, a betrayal is nothing. But when this betrayal stole important information or treasures, the nature is different. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chian Yu could not only hone his skills, but also recapture the Thor's sword. Third generation was also moved a little. Do you still have any questions? Third generation looked at the silent two and asked. I have. Chian Yu raised his hand. As far as I know, second generation is good at water style and various forbidden techniques. Why is his saber a Thor's sword? Third generation was stunned, not expecting Chian Yu's angle to be so strange, but still explained the reason. Actually, this is a wonderful misunderstanding. It turns out that Thor's sword is indeed the work of second Hokage. But not his saber. As a man covered in forbidden technique, his research on ninja tools has not fallen behind at all. The sword of Thor is one of his works. The person who owns this sword can directly use the attributellus chakra to convert it into the thunder attribute, and its power is amazing. But because the materials used are too precious, almost all of them are made of chakra-conductive metal. The second generation project stopped experimenting after making one. I don't know what happened, but the sword of Thor became his weapon. After listening, Chian Yu fell into silence. Sure enough, rumors kill people. Pure author's second design. After all, this is also a TV second design, I can reasonably imagine it. However, now Thor's sword is no longer a simple treasure, but a symbol of Konoha. That's why third generation takes it seriously. After learning about the details, Chian Yu and the two were also ready to leave. Before leaving, third generation also set the task level at A, and the reward is very generous. As long as the Thor's sword is taken back, the sword will belong to Chian Yu. To be honest, Chian Yu didn't really like this sword very much. In the original book, Thor's sword was shattered by Sasuke's chidori, and Naruto's Rasengan. Although there are reasons for the poor strength of Luchinkui, the quality is really not good. However, he has no small interest in chakra-conducting metals. After obtaining both Xiaoming Viguna and Tianzi, Chian Yu understood that these two pupil techniques must be used in conjunction with ninja tools to have the greatest effect. He has a vague idea in his mind, but he needs a large-scale chakra metal. Along the way, Chian Yu and Maru Shing Kosuke were very fast. The country of grass is located at the junction of the country of fire and the country of wind, and is adjacent to the country of rain. The distance from Konoha to there is not too close, plus the geographical advantage of green Aoi and the time required for information transmission. They have to speed up to reach their destination before each other. The two of them ate and slept all the way, moving forward in a straight line. Although I didn't sleep well, the food was good. The pot that Maru Shing Kosuke brought is not a decoration. It can not only cook good dishes, but also act as a shield at critical moments. After a day and a night, the two also arrived at their destination. Stop, who are you? In front of a gorgeous official residence, two fierce-looking guards stopped Chian Yu and the two. We are the ninjas of Konohagakure. We came here to protect you when we received news that someone was going to assassinate your master. Gusuk Maruksing saw that Chian Yu didn't mean to speak, so he stepped forward to answer. Actually, Chian Yu didn't like these feudal nobles. He is also very incomprehensible to the strange system of the Hokage world. Ninjas are a group of masters with powerful powers. Why do you want to obey a group of nobles and big names with wine bags and rice bags? There are some thoughts in my heart, but Chian Yu is a slacker after all. As long as it doesn't provoke him, he won't take the initiative to trouble those nobles. There are 5 countries in the ninja world, and there are countless small countries among them. Although in name everyone is equal. But when faced with ninjas from the 5 major countries, these small countries would not dare to offend them. After learning that Chian Yu and the others were ninjas in Konoha village, the nobleman hurriedly invited them in. And when I heard that Rain Shinobi village actually had ninjas coming to assassinate him, I was almost scared to death. Mr. Ninjas, please help me, I can give as much as I want. In the face of a life and death crisis, the so-called nobles performed worse than the commoners. Chian Yu and the two were placed next door to the nobles to prevent Luchinkui's sneak attack. When he had nothing to do, Chian Yu put the Butu Yusol on his lap and began to practice sword meditation. This is a training method taught by Kosuke Maru Shing, which can be used to understand kendo. It sounds very mysterious, but in fact it is to use meditation to empty the mind and improve the spiritual realm. After Chian Yu tried twice, the level of kendo did not improve much. But the feeling that his heart was empty and free of distractions made him very comfortable. So, every night before going to bed, he would practice sword meditation. It's just unfortunate that when he just entered the state, there was a strange movement on the roof. Sneak skills are too bad, can you still be a jonin like this? Chian Yu opened his eyes and disappeared into the room. On the roof, Livchinkui is running with 3 rain shinobi village ninjas. At this moment, several people suddenly saw someone appearing in front of them. The man was holding a long sword, and he was blocked in the middle. Sorry, one side is here. Chian Yu raised his sword finger with one hand, and a fire dragon spit out from his mouth. Fire style How Long Fire technique. The dark night sky was illuminated by firelight, and LV Chinkui and the others did not expect that this person would launch an attack without a word. There is no room to dodge under the suddenness. LV Chinkui hurriedly took out a sword hilt and poured it into chakra. The golden lightsaber appeared, and it split the fire dragon with one knife. But just when he was proud, the fire dragon that was divided in half formed 2 smaller fire dragons and rushed towards the other 2 rain shinobi. What? The screams came, and the scorching high temperature directly burned one person to death, while the other was difficult to escape with the body replacement technique. But the speed is still a step slower, and the right arm has been abolished. Hateful. LV Chinkui looked at Chian Yu viciously, and he was actually slapped. Tisk, don't kill fire style finally opened the meat. Today's Chian Yu finally understands why fire style is so hard to kill. Although the attack area is wide, the lethality is also good. But even this speed is too slow. Even with a surprise hit, one person escaped. LV Chinkui understands that today's assassination operation has been exposed, and the task can only be completed by eliminating the unsightly little devil in front of him. Reached out and threw the umbrella behind him into the air, the umbrella surface opened, and countless thousands of books shot out. This is a common attack method of rain shinobi. Hundreds of thousands of copies are shot at the enemy at the same time, and it is impossible to guard against it. Especially now that the time is still at night, and the line of sight is blocked, it is even more difficult to capture the trajectory of Chinbin. It's a pity that Chian Yu can't be measured as a normal ninja. Sengoyu appeared, and all Chinbin's movements were captured by Sharingan's powerful insight. Budu Yushin unsheathed, slashed and swept across the room, moving as fast as lightning, blocking all the thousands of books. Although a random wind-style ninjutsu can perfectly restrain 1,000 books. But, so handsome. The sword body drooped, and a dazzling electric current shone on it. Chian Yu leaned forward and rushed forward, instantly came to the uninjured ninja, and slashed with his knife. And that ninja would not sit still, raising the kunai in his hand to block. LV Chinkui wielded the sword of Thor, wanting to double team. However, when Kuwu faced the Fudu Yusol, it was no different from a piece of tofu. He didn't hold on for even half a second, he just split into 2. Even his master was cut in half. And Livchinkui also rushed in front of Chian Yu, holding up the Thunder God's sword, and swung it heavily. As a former Konoha special jonin, physical skills are still good, and with the blessing of Thor's sword, even Maru Shing Kosuke didn't dare to fight him recklessly. Brush. A flash of cold light. Before LV Chinkui could exert his strength, Chian Yu turned around and kicked, causing his body to fly backwards uncontrollably. Boom. Boom. The roof was directly penetrated, and the wooden beams were instantly broken. Yo, here's another one. Chian Yu didn't immediately pursue, but saw the injured ninja and rushed to kill him with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Escape. Run away. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Chinkui endured the severe pain and ran out of the house without looking back. This Konoha kid is too strong, he is not an opponent at all. As for the task or something, it has been completely forgotten. At this time, Lu Chinkui just wanted to escape, and survival was everything. Chian Yu didn't even look at it, he threw the Fudu Yuhun out of his hand, and under the control of Tianzi's life, he made an accurate hit. LV Chinkui had no room to resist at all. He was nailed to death, and the Thunder God sword in his hand fell weakly to the ground. Looking at the dead body, Chian Yu took out a seal scroll and sealed it inside. This is also one of the mission objectives. Third generation wants to get more information about Rain Shinobi Village from Luchinkui. As for how the body got information, it depends on the methods of Chian Yu's other old husband. After doing all this, he was the one who found Kosuke Maru Shing, who was protecting the nobles. The division of labor between the two is clear. Chian Yu is responsible for intercepting outside, while Maru Shing Kosuke is personal protection. Seeing his appearance, Maru Shing Kosuke knew that everything outside was over. And the nobleman was even more grateful and offered a large sum of silver taels as a reward. There are hundreds of thousands. The two of them didn't refuse, they just took the task to earn extra money. After solving all the matters, they did not delay much and returned to Konoha after taking a day off. Hand over the corpse sealed with green aoi to third generation, and tell the story of the mission. Third generation also gave the Thor sword to Chian Yu as a quest reward. It's just, looking at the Thor's sword in his hand, he was a little worried. This thing, a bit tasteless. After Chian Yu left the Hokage building, instead of going home, he went to the largest ninja shop in Konoha. Hello, is there any chakra conductive metal here? Yes, how much do you need? A middle-aged man came out, and Chian Yu told him his request. The other party looked troubled. This little brother, there is no problem with forging, but there is not so much stock in the store for the time being, and the price. Chian Yu's expression did not change. How much do you need in total? Your order quantity is relatively large, we can waive the processing fee, a total of 80 million taels. Rao Shi was already mentally prepared, and Chian Yu was also a little scared. It has been known for a long time that chakra metal is very expensive, and even Asuma, the second generation of Feiyin, used a little bit. And the amount he asked for was 10 times that of Feiyin. In the end, Chian Yu ordered 3 million taels of chakra metal and paid another 100,000 taels of processing fee. Make a few samples to see first. If his vision works, then it's time to make money. Back home, Chian Yu smiled when he saw the way he was fluttering butterflies in the yard. This dog is still very obedient when he doesn't demolish the house. Ow, ow. After seeing the master, Yi Shi immediately gave up butterfly and ran to Chian Yu's side with a wise look on his face. Have you listened to what Hinata and Ino said? Chian Yu held it up and shook it. A lot of fat. Yi Shi called out 2 more times, indicating that he was obedient, and Chian Yu let him go. Since I knew I needed to go out to the village frequently to perform tasks, one-size-fits-all parenting became a big problem. Originally, Chian Yu was going to ask the neighbors to come and help feed him. But when Hinata and Ino found out, they volunteered to help. Now it seems that these two have raised Yi Shi very well. Will Inuzuka Hana regret seeing this fat body? A good ninja dog turned into a salted fish that only eats, drinks and plays in his hands. Well, it looks like I have to find some training programs for you. Chian Yu looked at Ha, who tilted his head and looked innocent, and silently arranged his future destiny. After playing with one person and one dog for a while, Chian Yu also began to practice. If the ninja world is not only limited by the blood, which ninjutsu belongs to the plug-in level. That is undoubtedly Flying Thunder God. At present, he has been able to reluctantly burn the spell of Flying Thunder God, but the speed is very slow, and there is no guarantee of success every time. Taking out a handle of kunai, Chian Yu began to draw talismans on it. After a full 5 minutes, a Flying Thunder God kunai was completed. Whoosh! With a flick of his hand, Kunwu was inserted into the head of the dummy in the courtyard. Seal, Flying Thunder God activates. 3 seconds later, Chian Yu appeared beside the dummy out of thin air. Hiss! 3 seconds. At this time, he can run over. Chian Yu's face was speechless, because he saw that Ku Wushang's art was slowly disappearing. Still a one-off item. Sure enough, this bug-level space ninjutsu comparable to Kamui is not so easy to learn. Even if Chian Yu has a ninja nature, it will take a certain amount of time to complete. In the next few days, Chian Yu informed Maruxing Kosuke that he was going to practice ninjutsu and would not be on assignment for the time being. Continue after getting his customized weapon. Maru Shing Kosuke didn't say anything. They are not the same as normal squads. Many ninjas keep taking tasks to support their families, and by the way, they rely on contributions to exchange ninjutsu for practice. And Chian Yu is just to gain experience. Just like that, Chian Yu didn't go anywhere except to practice Flying Thunder God at home. Ino and Hinata would come to sit at home for a while after their mission every day. By the way, prepare dinner. Since the last time Hyuga Hiashi had a conversation, the other party had not stopped Hinata from dating Chian Yu. It seems to have defaulted to something. Just like that, after a week, Chian Yu finally managed to master Flying Thunder God. The activation time has been changed from the original 3 seconds to less than 1 second, and the duration of the spell has also been greatly enhanced. It's just that the two advanced applications, the second stage of Flying Thunder God and the Flying Thunder God Guide Mine, still have no clue. Teleporting to a moving object is infinitely more difficult than reaching fixed coordinates, and it cannot be perfected in a day or two. There was also news from the ninja shop, telling him that things were ready. But when Chian Yu came to the ninja shop, he unexpectedly met an acquaintance. Day by day, seeing the girl's familiar ball head, Chian Yu's heart also rose with kindness. The strong dragon country style. The most important thing is to be a rich woman. This is the largest ninja shop in Konoha, and it has direct cooperation with the village. It's no wonder that weapons are thrown away without money when fighting every day, and they are not picked up after they are thrown. Chian Yu said that she cried with envy. Hello, are you here to buy ninja gear? TenTen's eyes also lit up. Does Konoha actually have such a handsome little guy? Although Neji in the team is also good, but compared with the person in front of him, it is still a lot worse. I'm here to get the weapon that was customized 10 days ago. With that said, Chian Yu also handed the document to TenTen. It's yours, wait a minute. For this big list, every day also knows. Few people have spent millions on chakra metal like Chian Yu. Most people just add a little bit to the ninja gear to increase its power. From this business alone, her family can make a lot of money. Soon, TenTen walked out with a wooden box. When you open it, you can see that all the feathers are made of chakra metal. After special processing, it is far sharper than a shuriken. Take it in your hand and play with it, the size is right in the mind, and the workmanship is also very good. Thank you, I will come again if needed. Chian Yu politely thanked him and left. Although TenTen is very cute, he already has Hinata and Ino, so he won't provoke other girls. At this moment, a passionate voice came from outside the door. TenTen, it's time to come out for training. The hot-blooded youth does not allow such slack. Every day was covered with black lines, and Chian Yu also knew the identity of the person who came. Besides Might Guy and Xiao Li, who else is there? Chapter 51. Outside the ninja shop, Might Guy and Xiao Li kept their headstands and walked with their hands instead of their legs. Even while waiting for TenTen, I couldn't be idle, sitting and squatting with 2 fingers. The people around them are far away from them, for fear of contracting some serious disease. This is what Chian Yu saw when he went out. Teacher, Li, let's go quickly. TenTen also followed out of the ninja shop, urging the two to leave. If she stayed any longer, she would die. Yoshi, TenTen, just to be so energetic, this is youth. Might Guy put one hand on the ground and gave TenTen a thumbs up, revealing a big white fang. Chian Yu was startled. Such bright teeth. Where did Guy's toothpaste get? He wants to buy a set too. Guy also saw Chian Yu and his eyes lit up. Swish. A somersault landed in front of Chian Yu. Cameo Chian Yu. Chian Yu was a little puzzled. You know me. He doesn't remember any interactions with Guy. Ha 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 ha. Guy gave a hearty laugh and put his hands on his hips. Kakashi and I mentioned you and said you were a genius far beyond his. My name is Might Guy, and I'm Kakashi's lifelong opponent. We have faced each other more than 500 times now, and we still won't win. It was TenTen's turn to be surprised, so you are Kakashi-sensei's subordinate. As Guy's lifelong opponent, TenTen and others naturally knew about Kakashi, and knew that the other party became the guide Jonin this year. So that's what happened. Chian Yu nodded. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Guy's next action. I saw him bowing 90 degrees and saying sincerely, Cameo Chian Yu, please have a physical competition with me. Chian Yu. Is that so? At Konoha's number 6 training ground, Chian Yu understood the truth. There were many people there just now, and TenTen suggested that they go to the training ground first. And Chian Yu also figured out why Might Guy would fight him, this little genin. The root of the problem is still Kakashi. During a small chat between the two, they accidentally talked about Chian Yu. Kakashi said that the ninjutsu used by Chian Yu does not belong to any school of Konoha. This made Might Guy, who was obsessed with physique, instantly interested. I searched for Chian Yu's trace for several days. However, recently, he was either going out on a mission or practicing Flying Thunder God at home, and the two had no chance to meet at all. Until today, when Chian Yu went out to pick up the ninja gear, he happened to meet Guy, who came to train every day. Mr. Guy is really embarrassed. Even if you want to learn new physical skills, you should let Shaoli do it. You are too bullying. As a complaining agent in the original work, TenTen's mouth is really merciless. Shaoli also burst into flames when he heard it. Mr. Guy, let me compete with classmate Chian Yu. Guy shook his head and refused. Lee, I understand your feelings, but Chian Yu is an opponent that even Kakashi needs to pay attention to. You still need to work harder. I see, is this a genius? Shaoli looked at Chian Yu with admiration. Mr. Guy, I will continue to work hard. Guy moved Shaoli into his arms. Lee, this is youth. Shaoli, teacher. The two of them hugged each other and cried, seeing Chian Yu's black line, really two precious beasts. Does anyone actually do this? After the farce, Chian Yu also agreed to Guy's request. He was also curious about the strength of the first martial arts master in the ninja world. The two sides stand still, and there are not too many rules. Guy takes the lead. He stepped on one foot and came to Chian Yu in an instant. His waist rotated, bringing a strong torque, and his right leg swept hard. Leaf hurricane. Boom. Chian Yu came first, blocking him with one hand, and before Guy's entire body was concentrated, he punched him in the joints. Sure enough, it's a genre I've never seen before. Guy is not surprised but happy. This attack is just a test, and did not use all his strength. But Chian Yu's solution was beyond his expectations. Come again. Leaf strong whirlwind. Power prelude. Konoha bad rock rises. Various kicks were used alternately. Chian Yu showed no weakness, and Chian Yu's fluid technique, mainly Bajikwan, broke out. Holding the hammer, Erlang moved the mountain, closed his elbows, and turned his back on the hammer. The fists and feet of the two were constantly colliding, and every blow could open up mountains and cracks, and soon the training ground was destroyed horribly. The two watching the match were stunned. Is this the strength of Chian Yu? Lee muttered to himself. He always believed that hard work could surpass genius, but Chian Yu's strength was enough to compete with Guy, surpassing him by unknown amount. Can he really surpass it? Wrong. Teacher Guy once said that the meaning of hard work is not only to surpass others, but also to surpass yourself. This is the meaning of youth. After simple self-doubt, Lee regained his fighting spirit. And TenTen is also tongue-in-cheek. I didn't expect this little handsome guy to fight so wildly. The battle on the field continued, and Might Guy found that his physique was not as good as Chian Yu's, and no matter how hard he tried, he could be easily taken over. In this case, life gate, open. Hey, Mr. Guy, you're going too far. Chian Yu was a little speechless when he saw Guy's actions. This was just a discussion. As for opening 8 inner gates, this opening directly came to the third gate. TenTen and Shaoli were also nervous. With the 8 inner gates turned on, the power and speed boosts aren't a smidge. Is it not going to fight for a while, and even the peacock will come out? Blocking Guy's whip leg once again, Chian Yu suddenly changed his moves, and withdrew from the attack range. Not good. Guy's pupils shrunk. His old strength is not gone, his new strength is not born, but Chian Yu has already opened his stance. Chian Yu flow flashback. Lowering his body, Chian Yu attacked Guy's chest with continuous elbow strikes, knocking him to the ground with the last blow. That's it, Mr. Guy. Instead of continuing to pursue, Chian Yu chose to end the battle. And Guy, who was temporarily restrained, also woke up a lot, and found that he was so excited that he even used 8 inner gates. Apologize quickly. In this regard, Chian Yu shook his head and said it didn't matter. In fact, his fights are quite cool, and the fight to the flesh is really a man's romance. In order to express his apology, Guy pulled Chian Yu and TenTen Shaoli to have dinner together. Finally, at Chian Yu's suggestion, several people came to a restaurant specializing in sukiyaki. Might Guy is very happy. He was very happy today. In Konoha, there are not many ninjas who can compete with him in taijutsu. Except for Kakashi, there are only a few captains of Anbu. But Kakashi always fooled him. The two duel more than 500 times, and guessing took up more than half of them. As for Anbu, he is usually busy with his own tasks, so there is no time to accompany him. Today was one of the few opportunities for Guy to use his full strength. Of course, 8 inner gates don't count. At the dinner table, Guy and Chian Yu were still discussing the topic of physique. The two chatted while eating, mainly Might Guy said that Chian Yu was listening. Perhaps in terms of the subtlety of his moves, Chian Yu's physical skills are even better. But Guy is a ninja specializing in taijutsu after all, and many of his experience and skills are what Chian Yu needs. Shaoli listened attentively, and could not wait to take out a piece of paper and write it down. TenTen rolled his eyes. The team was full of cultivators, and now there was another Chian Yu. This made her feel a little out of place and could only eat on her own. By the way, there should be another person in your team, why didn't you see him today? Chian Yu said something intentionally or unintentionally. In fact, he agreed to Guy's invitation today to come and see Neji. The elder brother's attitude towards Hinata was not very friendly, and Chian Yu wanted to have a good chat with him. You said Neji, he's been cultivating an esoteric body technique recently, and I can't help much, so I let him move freely. Guy sold Neji without hesitation. Secret body art, revolving heaven. Chian Yu knew it in his heart. Neji is indeed a genius, and the Hyuga clan's secret skills were discovered by himself. It can be said that at this stage, he is the strongest among the 12 Shaoqiang. Shaoli is no match. After all, with the horror of Gentle Fist, maybe Shaoli has not opened the 8th gate, and his chakra is blocked. Let me say here that Shaoli is not without chakra. He can only have no ability to perform ninjutsu, chakra still has it, and has no attributes. The meal didn't end until very late, mainly because Might Guy was too chatty, so he pulled Chian Yu and didn't let him go back. Guy reluctantly let go of Chian Yu until the store was about to close. Even so, he still wanted to make an appointment with Chian Yu for the next meeting. Mr. Guy, I'm going out of the village tomorrow to carry out a mission. I'll be sure next time. Being entangled with a headache, Chian Yu hurriedly said goodbye. This is really not an excuse, he has already made an appointment with Maru Shing to go on a mission tomorrow. He spent more than 3 million taels to buy dozens of feathers, which wiped out the small treasury that Chian Yu had accumulated over the years. According to his plan, the follow-up is simply a bottomless pit. So Chian Yu can't wait to complete an S-rank mission in one day and catch up with the money needed for the Chi Ninja gear. As for Thor's sword, if it is broken, it can be recast. But Liv Chinkui was so useless that he didn't give Chian Yu this chance at all. It was a bit reluctant to let him dismantle the complete Thor sword. Anyway, it's an artifact. In addition, this is the 2nd generation's relic. If a big bear woman asks him for it in the future, I'm really embarrassed not to give it. Back home, Chian Yu took out the Vice Admiral feather from the wooden box and attached chakra. Tianzi launched it, and all the feathers floated in midair, revolving around his body. Chian Yu felt that he could pass chakra to feather at any time through pupil transfer with little loss. That being the case, what about chakra's nature transformation? The Mangekyo in his right eye turned rapidly, and Chian Yu found that the consumption speed of pupil power was greatly increased. At the same time, dozens of feathers began to change. Some are extremely hot and become red. There was a slight buzzing around some, while the rest were crackling and flashing electric lights. It is clear that the chakra attached to the feather has had a change in properties. Taking out a kunai, Chian Yu controlled a wind attribute feather and chopped it straight down. Although it was obvious that the obstacle was felt, the kunai cut off in response. The proficiency of the pupil technique is insufficient, and the chakra nature transformation has not reached the ultimate. Chian Yu silently reflected on the shortcomings just now. According to his vision, these feathers will become the murder weapon he uses with Mangekyo. The sharpness of the weapon itself, coupled with Ultimate's chakra, makes each feather no less lethal than a single ninjutsu. In other words, each feather is a swallow that can be controlled remotely. And Chian Yu himself has enough chakra, enough pupil power, and can control a lot of feathers. This can be converted, 2 feathers are equal to 1 Asuma, then thousands of feathers are at least equal to 500 Asuma. When used together with Sheoming Viguna, it can be said to be invincible and can deal with the vast majority of enemies. He was already building a matching ninjutsu in his mind. Just call it Chian Yu. I imagine that I will stand still in the future, and thousands of flying feathers will continue to harvest the life of the enemy. A playful style of cultivating immortals came to me. Shaking his head, Chian Yu drove the fantasy out of his mind. Dreams are beautiful, reality is cruel. Just 8,000 taels of silver, he can't get it. However, there is still work to be done. Reaching out and grabbing a feather, Chian Yu printed his own flying thunder god mark on it. That's why he specifically asked for the feathers to be the size of a palm. If it is smaller, it will affect the depiction of the flying thunder god spell. He will mark all feathers with the flying thunder god mark. Being the 6th, he is serious. On a new day, Chian Yu went to the Hokage building after leaving a letter to Hinata and Ino. This time, he may have been out for a long time, so I will leave the 2 of them to take care of the same thing. Looking at the dazzling task bar, he was a little confused. Can you pick up a few more at one time? The staff was also confused by his request, but still refused. No, you must submit the previous task report before you can accept the new task. Okay, Chian Yu shook his head regretfully, then I want this sea-level task of cleaning up bandits. I have to say, there are really many bandits in the Hokage world, and one crop will grow out again. Faithful as the Genin's experience baby. After leaving the Hokage building, I saw Chian Yu who was full of energy. Maru Shing Kosuke was a little curious, why are you so active all of a sudden, and you want to take on multiple tasks at once? Chian Yu shrugged, no way, I'm short of money. He said that he was going to build a chakra weapon, and Maru Shing Kosuke extended his thumb to express his admiration. Everyone else can use a little bit, but you're better off, it's all made of chakra metal, and it's still a set. For the next half-month, Chian Yu fell into the stage of frantically accepting tasks. This time, the bandits around Konoha village are in a bad situation. They all know that there is a ruthless person in Konoha. Although he is very strong, he is still constantly taking on the task of suppressing bandits. Except for low-level tasks such as bandit suppression, as long as it is a murder or a task that takes a long time, Chian Yu will accept it. Killing spies from other villages in the Land of Fire, an assassination mission issued by nobles to each other. Quests like this where ninjas appear are at least B rank, and the remuneration ranges from 80,000 to 300,000. Knowing that Chian Yu was short of money, Maru Shing Kosuke prepared to give up his share. Tasks in the village are generally 7 for the team performing the task, and 3 in the village. Chian Yu and Maru Shing Kosuke were equally divided. For a task of 300,000 taels, he usually only got a little over 100,000. However, he still refused. After all, this part is what Maru Shing Kosuke deserves. Chian Yu Lu's shape of one thunderbolt flash. A flash of lightning flashed, Chian Yu's figure disappeared in place, and in the next second, he appeared behind the mission target. When he stood still, the head of the rebellious man fell. Not even a chance to scream. Phew, it's over. After putting the Fudu Yuhun back into the sheath, Chian Yu skillfully sealed the head into the scroll, and then began to touch the corpse. MD, poor man. Looking at the 50,000 taels of silver bills that were only found after searching all over his body, Chian Yu showed disgust on his face. That's it for Chunin. This is a mission jointly issued by several women in the village, and the mission target is the defected Chunin. Chunin's name is Makoto Ito, his appearance is mediocre, and his strength is mediocre. But he has a clever mouth and a gentle personality, and has coaxed a lot of women, including 2 female ninjas from Konoha. Until one day Makoto Ito's behavior of stepping on N-boats was exposed, and the women headed by Chunin of Shiwan Temple and Genin of Gui Yanye went completely crazy. They issued a B-level task to the village, but the bounty was as high as 800,000 taels, which exceeded the standard of many A-level tasks. However, there are special requirements. Several employers asked for some parts of his body, so it is necessary to ensure the integrity of the body as much as possible. And Gui Yanye Genin, who paid the most money, asked for his head by name. Chian Yu was also quick-witted to grab this task. It's an exquisite swordsmanship. Maru Shing Kosuke came over and praised with emotion. In the past 2 weeks, he has seen the amazing progress of Chian Yu's swordsmanship, which is a killing technique refined from constant killing. It is much stronger than the bells and whistles of the Dance of the Three Suns and Moons. I'm still a long way off, Senior Ji Yu Jia. There is no proud look on Chian Yu's face. Today's Chian Yu's swordsmanship only has 2 moves, and there is still a long way to go. Seeing your state of mind, I can leave with confidence. Maruxing Kosuke was very relieved and said something that surprised Chian Yu. Where are you going? Maru Shing Kosuke said with a smile, you are a qualified ninja now, and it is useless for me to follow you. I should also go back to my original post. Before teaming up with Chian Yu, Maru Shing Kosuke was active on the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Earth. Konoha will soon hold the Chunin exam, and he must return to the border to prevent Iwagakure's change. Chian Yu heard the words, understood the situation, and bowed slightly. Thank you for taking care of me this month. During this period of time, Maru Shing Kosuke has been very helpful to him. Even the few ninjutsus that second generation taught him were imparted without reservation. And Maru Shing Kosuke also nodded with a smile. After returning to the village, third generation looked at Chian Yu admiringly. After this period of tempering, Chian Yu's aura became incomparably fierce, like an out-of-body sword. Then you can return to the 7th class. Their run-in is almost the same, and they can perform the task of leaving the village immediately. Hearing third generation's arrangement, Chian Yu did not object. After asking the location of several people, prepare to go and see first. A river in Konoha. Naruto, Sasuke, and little Sakura rolled up their trousers and stood in the river, clearing weeds from the water. After reaching out and pulling a handful of weeds, Naruto couldn't take it any longer. I want to be a Hokage man, why do I do this kind of task every day? Stupid Naruto, don't be lazy. Little Sakura roared at Naruto, but in fact she was also suffocating. Every day is either weeding and catching cats, or taking children. Sasuke didn't say a word, and the indifference emanating from his body expressed his dissatisfaction. Chian Yu didn't know how many tasks he had done, and he was wasting his time here. So, when can you kill that man? On the shore, Kakashi leaned against an uncle, still holding the intimacy paradise that never left. Hearing Naruto's complaint, his eyelids lifted slightly, but he didn't say anything. Just then, a gust of wind blew by. Kakashi-sensei, you are still quite leisurely. A mocking voice sounded in his ear. The 3 of Naruto also spotted someone coming. Chian Yu. Yo, Naruto, well done, keep working hard. Standing beside Kakashi, Chian Yu waved to Naruto. Kakashi gave him a few glances, his tone sloppy. They're different from you. I won't take them on a mission if they don't understand the importance of the team. I think you want to be lazy, Chian Yu complained without hesitation. The third generation old man has already told me that there is a task to be handed over to the 7th class tomorrow. Anyway, go back and prepare to leave the village. Kakashi couldn't do anything about Chian Yu's remarks. The 2 of them didn't say a few words, and the 3 of Sasuke also completed the task. Chian Yu, I'm going to challenge you, but I've become a lot stronger. Naruto shouted and ran in front of Chian Yu. I have already defeated Sasuke, that stinky guy is no match for me at all. What's going on? Chian Yu became interested. At this stage, Naruto has some experience in physical skills except for some resistance, and the others are completely inferior to Urzuzi. But now he says he won Sasuke. Shut up, what the hell? You're a sneak attack. Sasuke's eyebrows twitched wildly, and it was Naruto's sneak attack that time he tied him up and threw him into the toilet. I didn't expect him to be so shameless, and he told Chian Yu that he had beaten him. And Chian Yu, who knew what was going on, also looked at Urzuzi teasingly. Sasuke, your vigilance is a little off. Who would have thought that this idiot Naruto would attack me? Sasuke was a little irritable. This was a dark history he could never erase in his life. It can only be said that Naruto deserves to be the ninja of no one by accident. Anything unreasonable to him becomes reasonable. However, Chian Yu declined his invitation to fight. Avertisement. Naruto, tomorrow we are going out of the village to do a mission, so let's forget it today. After half a month of running around, Chian Yu was a little tired. Not physical fatigue, but mental fatigue. After all, people who have been killing people for half a month in a row should take a break. As for the reward, he has received a lot of tasks from the system recently, so the points are not worth it. Sure enough, Naruto's attention was instantly diverted to tomorrow's mission. Looking at the still early sky, Chian Yu suggested, Hinata and Ino have no assignments today, why don't we have a meal together? Naruto didn't attend their party the last time he graduated, so this time he made up for it. Hearing his words, not even Sasuke objected. But the location of the meeting became a problem. Naruto proposed to go to Ichiraku Ramen, but there are too few Ichiraku Ramen places. For barbecue Q, I've been there too much recently, and it doesn't feel interesting. While Chian Yu was struggling, Sasuke spoke up. Just come to my house, my place is big enough, just buy whatever you want to eat. After he finished speaking, his face turned to one side, and he was a little embarrassed. This surprised Chian Yu a little. Urzuzi would actually take the initiative to invite people to his house as a guest. However, the Uchiha tribe is big enough and quiet enough to have a picnic. Okay, then go to Urzuzi's house. Call me Sasuke. Little Sakura went to the Hokage building to hand in the task, and Naruto volunteered to find other Shaokyang. And Chian Yu also split up 2 shadow clones to find Hinata and Ino. As for Kakashi, teacher, this is a party between our students, you should be embarrassed to attend, right? Chian Yu looked at Kakashi with a smile, and issued an order to evict the guests. The kid is really not cute now. Kakashi shook his head and left with his affectionate paradise. After everyone left, Chian Yu looked at Sasuke. Is there anything you want to ask me? Since his appearance, Sasuke has been hesitant to speak, obviously wanting to ask something. Naruto said, you have appeared as a Sharingan like Kakashi, is that so? The last time he stole the sealed book, Naruto also noticed the change in Chian Yu's eyes. During a conversation, the news was said unconsciously, and Sasuke heard it. If you say that, it's true. Chian Yu didn't mean to hide it, and generously revealed Sengoyu. Sasuke's eyes widened. Sure enough, it is Sharingan, or Sengoyu. You are also from the Uchiha tribe. Speaking of this, Sasuke was a little excited. He thought that the Uchiha family had been killed by Itachi, but Chian Yu actually owned the Sharingan. I'm not a member of the Uchiha clan, so it's inexplicable to open my eyes. Chian Yu was very sure that he did not have Uchiha's bloodline, and the system sent Senju's bloodline awakening potion. Indicates that he has part of the Senju bloodline. When Sasuke heard this, he lowered his head in disappointment. After the night of the extermination, Sasuke's heart throbbed whenever he returned to the Uchiha land at night. How lively Uchiha used to be, but now. And Chian Yu shattered the only hope in his heart. Hey, Chian Yu patted Sasuke on the shoulder, try to become stronger, you are definitely not his opponent now. Sasuke was silent, turned around, and walked in the direction of the clan. An hour later, everyone came to the Uchiha land. Hinata and Ino hadn't seen Chian Yu for half a month, naturally they missed it. The 3 are tired and crooked together, and the others are unreliable. The lazy Shikamaru is helpless to take on the task of organizing. In the end, everyone decided to have a barbecue, after all, to save time and effort. Fortunately, Sasuke's house has enough ingredients, and there is no need to buy it again. Toga and Shino are in charge of carrying the tools for barbecue, and the 3 girls of Hinata are in charge of handling the ingredients. And Chian Yu and Sasuke are in charge of the barbecue. Naruto, this clumsy, everyone dared not let him get started. As for Choji, let him eat some snacks to support his stomach first, otherwise the others will be more tired later. After working for a long time, I finally got it done. Surprisingly, Sasuke's craftsmanship is surprisingly good. But think about it, living alone since the 2nd grade, if you don't even have this life skill. Already starved to death. 10 people chatted while eating, and most of the topics focused on the tasks they had done in the past month. Everyone was complaining about the boredom of D-class missions, and Chian Yu was once again the center of attention. Because he is the only one who has performed high-level tasks. In this regard, Chian Yu did not hide it, but chose some less bloody tasks and said it. In the dead of night, the whole Konoha seemed to have pressed the pause button. Apart from the patrols in 2s and 3s on the street, no one else could be seen in this residential area. A figure covered in black kept jumping, landing on the roof of a residential building without making a sound. Chian Yu kept looking around, avoiding the patrolling Konoha shinobi, without attracting anyone's attention. It's a waste of time to go home and sleep. So he decided to go to Naruto. The distance between the two homes was not far, and it didn't take long for Chian Yu to arrive near Naruto's home. 1, 2. Just 2 Anbu. Looking around, he quickly found Anbu who was watching Naruto. When Naruto was young, there were not only at least one team of Anbu around him, but also a lot of ninjas. But now that Naruto has grown up, 3rd generation has a lot of confidence in him, leaving only 2 people just in case. As for Gen, it was disbanded by 3rd generation after the Uchiha genocide. At this time, Danzo was still hiding in the ground and developing silently. Chian Yu easily avoided Anbu's warning and entered Naruto's room. Anbu's performance has always been very hip. 1 by 1 is full of masks with masks, but it is always swept away by all kinds of seconds. Especially Yakushi Kabuto, who was able to take down the Anbu team that Kakashi arranged beside Sasuke by himself, without alarming anyone. Outrageous. Only later did Chian Yu find out that the powerful Anbu had all been sent out to perform various shady tasks. As for these in the village, they can only be ordinary members, not elites. Stronger Chunin may join Anbu. Seeing Naruto sleeping soundly, Chian Yu felt a little uneasy, and performed the hypnosis method to make him sleep more soundly. What he did next should not be discovered by Naruto. Lifting Naruto's pajamas. Although the 8-sign seal will not manifest without chakra running, it is still there. The Sharingan appeared in Chian Yu's eyes, and after a while, his consciousness entered the sealed place of 9 tails. This is an empty and flat ground, and a huge door divides it into 2. There was still red liquid on the ground. Chian Yu slowly approached the sealed door, splashing water with every step. Suddenly, a pair of violent red vertical pupils emerged from the darkness, staring at Chian Yu with undisguised malice. You have an aura I hate, kid. The deep male voice reverberated through the entire space, and Nine Tails' figure also fully emerged. An aura of destruction struck, and even through the seal, Chian Yu could feel the terrifying destructive power. However, this is a paper tiger. My name is Cameo Chian Yu. You are referring to this. After all, I have suffered many losses on this. Chian Yu's 3-hooked jade appeared, spinning rapidly to form a Mangekyo. Seeing the familiar eyes, the breath of Nine Tails skyrocketed by 3 points, and the Nine Tails fluttered behind him. So that's the case. Is it the kid of the Uchiha family again? All of you Uchiha family should be killed. The red liquid on the ground surged silently and slowly gathered behind Chian Yu. Stab. The claws that had been formed were cut off in an instant. In the magical spiritual world, all abilities and items can be brought into it. The move is too clumsy. Chian Yu had discovered long ago that the liquid on the ground was all chakra that Nine Tails infiltrated silently. The goal is to one day help him escape. Now that he came in, Nine Tails got a little confused. Humph. Nine Tails snorted coldly. The plan failed, he had nothing to say. However, Chian Yu would not let him go so easily. My parents died at your hands. Although I didn't come to see you today, since we met, let's give you a gift. While speaking, Mangekyo in Chian Yu's left eye began to turn. Tsukuyomi. Nine Tails was shocked to find that his consciousness appeared in a space where only gray and white existed. Little devil, what did you do? Don't worry, your body still exists in Naruto's body, this is just my illusion space. And everything here will be under my control. Chian Yu's voice was very ethereal. He was standing in front of Nine Tails, but the voice seemed to come from an endless distance. What are you trying to do, kid? Nine Tails panicked, finding that he couldn't even use chakra. Of course, some interest is charged. Chian Yu smiled slightly and clapped both hands. Moon World wood style true several thousand hands. Boom, the ground cracked, and a majestic wooden Buddha slowly rose. The pupils of Nine Tails suddenly shrank as thousands of hands pinched the arms of various Buddha seals. This is the art of Senju Hashirama. To this day, he still remembered the man who subdued himself with a wooden golem while saying, "Nine Tails, you are too dangerous, I will seal you." Today, he once again felt the kind of fear he had at the beginning. Chian Yu comforted, "This is just an illusion world, your body will not be affected, just be patient." "Don't, kid, no," Cameo Chian Yu, have something to say. Unfortunately, Chian Yu no longer wanted to listen to what Nine Tails had to say. Moon World Wood Style Top Buddha 1000 Years of Death Limited Edition. The voice fell, and the thousands of large palms of the Buddha statue formed the seal of the tiger and stabbed the immobile Nine Tails. Ah 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 ah. The screams of Nine Tails echoed throughout the world, making the listeners cry. Thousands of hands, even if it is 10 times a second, it takes a few minutes. When the last finger fell, Nine Tails didn't even have the strength to scream, and the Tsukuyomi space also burst. Looking back at the sealed space, the thick and rough air rises and falls one after another. "Little devil, I remember you, don't let me have a chance to go out, otherwise, I will kill you first." Nine Tails' voice was choppy, enduring great pain, and even so, he would say harsh words. On the other hand, Chian Yu was refreshed and thoughtful. "Parents in this life, I will collect some interest for you first. However, the purpose of coming here today is not Nine Tails." Chian Yu walked to the front of the sealed gate. Under the resentful and pleasant gaze of Nine Tails, he put his hand on the sticker. "Fourth generation, I know you can see what's going on here, if you don't show up, I'm going to pick it up." Nine Tails was stunned. Fourth generation. Namikaze Minato. After a while, no one appeared in the space. Chian Yu was a little impatient, and the seal was torn off a corner. Nine Tails' chakra rioted directly, desperately trying to rush out. "Although I don't know what this kid is crazy about, it's definitely a good chance to escape." Cameo Chian Yu, what exactly are you trying to do? A helpless voice sounded in the space. Chian Yu also stopped the movement of his hand, and put the seal back on it thoughtfully. An angry Nine Tails just grinned. "No way, I have a reason why I have to find you." Turning back, a figure with a yellow spiky head and a Hokage imperial robe stood behind Chian Yu. It's just that his stature is a bit hollow, seemingly out of sight. Chian Yu took 2 more glances curiously. Namikaze Minato, a character who received a lunch at the beginning, but his presence is unparalleled. In the ninja world, there are too many legends about him. One person killed dozens of elite Jonin, scared Rock Shinobi Village to stop the attack, and issued an order to abandon the mission when encountering a yellow flash. Fight alone 4th Raikage and 8 Tails Jinchuriki, and single-handedly end the war between Konoha and Cloud Shinobi Village. And after his death, Cloud Shinobi Village returned to its former arrogance, and Sarutobi Hiruzen could only compromise for peace. Many people say that if the 4th generation doesn't die, the future of the ninja world will change. While Chian Yu was looking at Minato, Minato was watching him. The first impression is that of a very young boy. The next thing is to wonder why this young man with Sharingan is not Uchiha, but has the same surname as a guard of 3rd Hokage. Namikaze Minato. I @% at you @%. You, @% @. Neither of them said anything. Nine Tails in the seal was furious and kept breathing fragrance. Originally, he was staying well in Kushina's belly. Although there was no freedom, he should just sleep in another place. As a result, this Namikaze Minato directly divided himself in 2, half of which was locked in his son's stomach, and the other half could not be sensed directly. How can this make Nine Tails not angry? For a while, he forgot the pain Chian Yu had caused him just now, and pointed the finger at Namikaze Minato. Man, what a resentment this is. Chian Yu couldn't help but click his tongue, and he couldn't help but want to laugh when he heard a series of family tree greetings from Nine Tails. This stinky fox can actually export dirty. Namikaze Minato was also a little embarrassed, and the good atmosphere was ruined by Nine Tails. Wait a minute, I'll let him be quiet first. Chian Yu nodded slightly to Namikaze Minato, then stared. Nine Tails fell into a deep sleep. What a mighty Mangekyo! Namikaze Minato looked at Nine Tails, who was under control in an instant, with some admiration. Who are you? Why do you know of my existence, and what is your purpose? Even though he couldn't figure out Chian Yu's origin, Namikaze Minato remained calm. I'm a friend of Naruto, and I know you're here because of the Mangekyo. I can't say that I've read the script, and I know that you, the sixth, are prepared to be naughty by Nine Tails. Chian Yu can only push all this to his own Mangekyo. Naruto. Namikaze Minato's expression was a little excited. Are you Naruto's friend? How is he doing now? The only thing he's sorry for is his own son. To be honest, it's been pretty bad. In order to achieve his goal, Chian Yu also answered every question he asked, and briefly explained the events of the past few years. After learning of Naruto's tragic experience, Minato's expression turned gloomy, and the warmth like a little sun also receded a lot. As a former shadow, he understands Sarutobi Hiruzen's intentions and knows the darkness buried in the village. However, this is his own son after all. Mr. Chian Yu, thank you for taking care of Naruto over the years. Namikaze Minato bowed solemnly to Chian Yu, and with his methods, he naturally judged that what Chian Yu said was basically the truth. Even if there is a fictional part, it is the other person's personal secret. Naruto is also my friend, your thanks is totally unnecessary. Chian Yu rejected Namikaze Minato's thanks. He does everything with his own heart, and he never makes friends with utilitarian intentions. Turning the topic, Chian Yu revealed the purpose of his visit to Namikaze Minato today. I want you to guide me in my practice of Flying Thunder God. You learned Flying Thunder God. Namikaze Minato was surprised. He is well aware of the difficulty of this ninjutsu. Apart from the founder of second generation, he is also the master. He also tried to teach this ninjutsu to his guards before. But the three guards could barely form a Flying Thunder God formation. And Chian Yu is only 13 years old this year, not only opened Mangekyo, but also learned to Flying Thunder God. What a terrifying talent. Chian Yu didn't talk nonsense either, directly showing his current progress. Very good. After increasing the transmission speed and reducing the stiffness after the transmission, you can start the second stage of training. Resting his chin with one hand, Namikaze Minato affirmed. And Chian Yu also humbly asked for advice. Perhaps to repay Chian Yu for taking care of his son, Namikaze Minato explained it in great detail. As the fastest man of second generation, Namikaze Minato is the master of Flying Thunder God. Chian Yu also benefited a lot. Looking at Namikaze Minato fading away, Chian Yu knew that today was the end of the day. But there is one more thing to do. Green chakra emerged from his hands and pressed against his shoulders. Namikaze Minato was surprised to find that his chakra recovered quickly returning to the level he was when he first appeared. Don't be surprised, this is my bloodline limit. Chian Yu smiled, without any explanation. Essentially, this strand of chakra has a hint of Namikaze Minato's soul, and systematic healing techniques can naturally play a role. It's just that Minato in chakra state can't provide even a single attribute, just like ordinary villagers. After adding chakra to him, Chian Yu also said, "You teach me the sealing technique to seal yourself, and I will seal you back." This operation is also a show to Namikaze Minato. No wonder Chian Yu would let him out just like that. It turned out that he was preparing to fight back. Soon, under the guidance of Namikaze Minato, Chian Yu learned the art of sealing and sealed him back again. Before leaving, Namikaze Minato also made a request that Chian Yu would teach Naruto some ninjutsu. Chian Yu agreed without hesitation. When the consciousness exited Naruto's body, the sky was already bright. After leaving a Flying Thunder God mark in a hidden corner, Chian Yu also left quietly. Grandpa third generation, are you going to give us an A-level mission? Inside the Hokage building, Naruto was in high spirits. He slept very well last night and woke up refreshed in the morning. Chian Yu said yesterday that third generation had promised not to let them do D-level missions. Although Sasuke remained calm, his eyes were bright. Chian Yu was already too far ahead of him. If he continues to spend in the village, he will only be left farther and farther. Only little Sakura looked nervous. It's scary to go out of the village or something. Naruto, A-level missions are not something you can access right now. Third generation put down the document in its hand, said earnestly, and saw Chian Yu, who was hiding behind and yawning. Chian Yu, are you all right? In the past half-month, Chian Yu has done too many tasks, and has a full day off, and was assigned another mission out of the village. This made third generation feel a little guilty. It's okay, Chian Yu waved his hand, I didn't sleep well last night. He had only slept for 2 hours when he came back from Naruto's house, and it was time to gather. If he knew it would be so soon, he might as well not sleep. So guys, remember, staying up late is hurting the body, so it's better to stay up all night. However, a hard night is not without results, and now the progress of the second stage of Flying Thunder God has increased by a lot. Chian Yu discovered that Namikaze Minato became famous though Flying Thunder God. But that doesn't mean his other ninjutsu skills are weak. Especially the wife of the Uzumaki clan, her sealing skills are definitely among the best in Konoha. Chian Yu has already decided to chat with fourth generation in the future, and try to empty him out. Hearing this, third generation didn't ask any more questions, but shouted to the door. Come in. Immediately afterwards, a drunken sloppy uncle walked into Hokage's office with a wine bottle in his hand. After entering the door, he glanced at the team of 5 in front of him. A dwarf, a nympho, a cool guy. The other 2 seem to be fine, but I don't know how strong they are. This is the famous bridge builder in the land of waves, Mr. Dazna. Third generation introduced the tasker's information, and everyone looked at the unremarkable old man. Your mission is to escort him back to the land of waves and complete the construction of the bridge. The mission level is C. It's only C rank. Naruto was a little frustrated, but soon regained his fighting spirit. Chian Yu glanced at it, then closed his eyes and rested. After some farce, Dazna reluctantly accepts Naruto and agrees to the mission this time. 2 hours later, the 7th class assembled at the Konoha gate. Naruto also made a joke, memorizing almost everything in the house, and was reprimanded by Kakashi. Except for Chian Yu and Kakashi, none of the other 3 had ever left the village. Along the way, Naruto yelled, looked left and right, looking like he had never seen the world. Although little Sakura and Sasuke were reserved, their squinting eyes also betrayed them. This made Dazna even more worried. Fortunately, Chian Yu and Kakashi behaved normally. It's just that the 2 of them looked like they didn't wake up. This part of the journey just out of Konoha was very safe, and Kakashi also assumed the responsibility as a teacher. The information science of the 5 major countries and some small countries was given to everyone, as well as the division of task levels. Little Sakura breathed a sigh of relief when she heard that the sea-level mission would not encounter ninjas. She wasn't mentally ready to fight other ninjas. Dazna's expression became a little unnatural, which made Sasuke, who had been watching him, tremble in his heart. Keenly aware that this time the task person seems to be hiding something. By the way, what is the highest level mission Chian Yu has ever performed? Naruto suddenly asked Chian Yu. Well, it's Class A, but only once. Chian Yu answered honestly. The 3 of Naruto were startled, and even Kakashi looked at him in surprise. Just a month after graduation, did you perform A-level tasks? Looking at their curious eyes, Chian Yu also recounted the mission of robbing Thor's sword. It's amazing. It's actually the Thor's sword of Lord 2nd generation. I've even read about it in textbooks. Little Sakura looked shocked. The time came to noon, and the hot sun hung on the clear sky, causing several people to sweat on their foreheads. Although there is the drag of Dazna, they are also far away from the range of Konoha. At this time, Chian Yu saw that in front of the road, a puddle appeared. Kakashi exchanged glances with him, then staggered tacitly. It's just that his speed was a little faster and he came to the front of the team. However, Chian Yu's speed slowed down and came to the end. Everyone passed the puddle one by one, without the slightest abnormality. When he was the last to pass, 2 ninjas wearing mist shinobi forehead protectors jumped out of the stagnant water. The 2 quickly split into 2, and the specially made chain mechanism in their hands fluttered around Chian Yu. The sudden change made Naruto and the others startled. With kunai in Sasuke's hands, he watched the 2 of them warily. Brother Ghost pulled hard, but surprisingly, the chain didn't move at all. Naruto, remember, as a ninja, you must also learn physics knowledge. You think about it, in such a hot weather, there is still such a large puddle on the ground, which is completely unreasonable. These two Kurigakure ninjas are the best example of the opposite. Last night, thanks to Namikaze Minato's love, Chian Yu taught by her own example today, and she did not hesitate to use herself as bait. If you put it on the previous mission with Maru Shing Kosuke. He directly pulled out the Fudu Yuhun and hacked to death with 2 swords. Hateful. The 2 ghost brothers were aware of their mistakes, and when they became angry, they tried their best to push the hand-to-hand mechanism, trying to get rid of this kid. I'll teach you another truth. Metal is extremely conductive. Never use metal to link ninjas with lightning properties. After Chian Yu, who seemed to be fine, finished speaking, a strong electric light gushed from her body. The surging electric current extended directly to the ghost brother along the chain, and the 2 were numb from the electricity. Chian Yu continued to increase the chakra, and the power of the current increased dramatically. In the end, the 2 ghost brothers couldn't even make a scream, and they were burned into 2 cokes. There are even bursts of meat fragrance wafting out. At this time, the chain wrapped around Chian Yu was released by him. Mr. Dazner, it's time to talk about your problem. Ignoring little Sakura and Naruto who had not turned their brains around, Chian Yu came to Dazna's side with a bad look. Kakashi also cast his gaze over. He had just told his disciples that there would be no ninjas on the sea-level mission, and now 2 chunins have appeared. Doesn't this hit him in the face? Dazna swallowed his saliva. The flask in his hand was a little unsteady, and he explained the reason for the incident. Kakashi asked everyone's opinion, should the mission continue? This is beyond the scope of a sea-level mission. Hearing that Kakashi planned to give up the mission, Dazna finally became anxious. You can't give up. Do you ninjas either take the task or die? Besides, without you, the entire country of waves will fall into darkness forever, and you will be sinners at that time. After a few words, the 3 Naruto, who were not yet in the world, were stunned. Sasuke snorted coldly, who said we're going to give up, even if there are other ninjas in Kurigakure ahead, I won't back down. Urzuzi is still young, and can't wait to be hooked when he is provoked. Naruto also reacted. He felt that his performance just now was too bad. Seeing Chian Yu being tied up, his first thought was how to rescue him, but he was too frightened to move. Not even little Sakura. At least little Sakura ran to the task person. That's true in the original, little Sakura's few highlights. Pulling out the kunai, Naruto thrust it into his palm. The red blood was particularly dazzling. He wanted to remember the shame this time with pain. I, Vortex Naruto, will never give up on my mission. Kakashi was a little relieved. Although he was pitted by Dazna, at least his disciples got support. However, he just wanted to agree to Dazna's request. Chian Yu spoke up. Wait. Seeing the happy expression on Dazna's face, Chian Yu, who had been silent for a while, finally spoke up. He first healed Naruto's bleeding palm, and then looked down at Dazna condescendingly. Old man, there is one thing you may be mistaken about. Concealing the level of the mission is subject to the revenge of Konoha village. Dazna stammered. This little brother, what do you mean? Haven't I explained it clearly? He thought that his acting skills had fooled everyone, but he didn't expect that this kid would be so sober. Chian Yu snorted coldly. General sea-level quests will only be done by the most common genin team, and at most 1 chunin. Only for the first time, we met 2 chunin. Naruto, if the other team accepted the mission, they would be dead by now. When I watched this episode in my previous life, Chian Yu was very dissatisfied with Dazna's moral kidnapping behavior. If it wasn't for the protagonist team, even Yuhika or Asuma would not be able to guarantee a complete retreat when faced with a slash. Now this old thing wants to fool the past with this set. Chian Yu would never agree. Are the people of the land of waves poor? Poor. But it wasn't his fault. Since you want to post a task, follow the procedure. Even if the money is temporarily unavailable, the benefits after the bridge is built can be exchanged. But Dazna had been thinking to freeload all along. Naruto was silent. He knew that what Chian Yu said was right. But he was really unwilling to give up the task like this. Is the decision just made? Should it end here? Sasuke also reacted and looked at Dazner with a bad look. His dignified genius of the Uchiha family was actually fooled by a commoner old man. Lord Ninja, I was wrong, I beg you to save the country of waves, no matter what the conditions are, I can agree. Dazna panicked when he saw that Naruto and the others showed signs of being persuaded, and hurriedly got down and knelt on the ground. This is all the money that the country of waves can come up with, please be merciful. Chian Yu's mouth twitched, it's not impossible for us to continue the mission. Now sign an S-class mission letter of entrustment, and the fee will be paid in 3-year installments. Mr. Dazna, you don't want the country of waves to be played by Cardo. When a person is in despair, no matter how fragile a straw is, it will be grasped subconsciously. Even though Dazna knew about the high remuneration of the S-rank mission, he agreed without the slightest consideration. The mission was able to continue, and several people embarked on a journey to the country of waves. Kakashi gave Chian Yu a thumbs up. He had performed so many missions, how could he fail to understand Dazna's little thought? Just to hone Sasuke and the others, they chose to keep silent. This operation is really relieved and does not affect the overall situation. Chian Yu also smiled without saying a word. In fact, he would not give up this mission. Of course not for the civilians of the country of waves, his purpose as the first cash machine in the ninja world, Cardo. In order to forge his own ninja tool, Chian Yu, he was almost insane. Now that such a large gold mine is placed in front of it, it will naturally not be easily abandoned. Along the way, Naruto was silent a lot, and Sasuke became cautious. At first glance, the gesture that looked like a trip to the green also disappeared. Kakashi and Chian Yu were still in tandem, guarding everyone. Chunin appeared in the first wave of attacks, which means that the people behind the scenes are far more than this force. So, the people who come next are at least Jonin. It looks loose, but Kakashi has already raised the attention of his whole body. The land of waves is located in the middle of the land of water in Konoha, and is a very small island country. After 2 days of travel, we finally arrived at the border coast of the land of fire. Early in the morning, Chian Yu and the others set off from the dock on a small boat and rushed to the country of waves. The fog on the sea is very thick. If it is not an old boatman who often walks this waterway, he may lose his way. At present, all the contacts and transactions of the country of waves with the outside world are monopolized by Cardo, and any ships coming and going must pass the inspection of his men. The boatman also dared to send everyone to the country of vortex through the thick fog. He didn't even dare to turn on the engine on the boat, he was rowing slowly with the oars. It was not until they came to the front that a magnificent semi-finished bridge appeared in everyone's sight. This is the hope of our country of waves. As long as the bridge is built, we will be free from the control of Cardo from now on. Dazna's eyes were complex, full of hope and worry. Through the fog, everyone quietly set foot on the land of waves. Sasuke slowed down and came to Chian Yu's side with a tangled expression. It was rare to see such an expression on him. Chian Yu, what was the lightning-style ninjutsu you used against those 2 ninjas earlier? Sasuke has a gut feeling. This ninjutsu must fit him very well. That's why, after a long period of psychological construction, he finally summoned up the courage to ask Chian Yu. He has always regarded Chian Yu as a goal to surpass, but instead he came to ask others about ninjutsu. It made him feel very uncomfortable with the weird feeling. You mean Chidori Ryu, but that is Chidori's derivative ninjutsu. You must master Chidori before you can learn it. Chian Yu did not choose to hide. Giving Chidori to Sasuke is totally fine. Kakashi is not Senju Tobarama and doesn't care much about copyright issues. Is that ninjutsu called Chidori? Sasuke's eyes lit up, and he wanted to say something, and Naruto came to Chian Yu's side with an angry face. I also want to learn the ninjutsu of electric discharge. How could he possibly lose to Sasuke? Since Sasuke has to learn, he has to learn too. Chian Yu shook his head. No, you don't have the thunder attribute chakra, but I will teach you another ninjutsu, definitely not inferior to Chidori. This time Naruto was smiling, and Sasuke rarely said thank you. Chian Yu smiled and said nothing. In fact, Urzuzi's character is not so unpleasant now. Until he met Itachi again and was surpassed by Naruto. To become extreme. As for Naruto, with the cover of the Book of Seals, Rasengan can also be passed on to him above board. Even if third generation knew about it, they would only praise Chian Yu for cherishing his companions. Kakashi was a little itchy, and he had long wanted to ask Chian Yu about Chidori Ryu. But because of the teacher's face, it is really hard to tell. Not everyone is like Jiraiya, using his apprentice's ninjutsu and his apprentice's daughter-in-law's sealing technique to conquer the world. Suddenly, Naruto threw a kunai like a lunatic, scaring a rabbit. Little Sakura was so angry that Naruto's nervousness was about to collapse. Kakashi, on the other hand, looked around cautiously. This is not an ordinary rabbit, but a snow rabbit that uses the body replacement technique. At this moment, a harsh sound of breaking the air came. A rotating big sword flew out from the blind spot of the field of vision, with the momentum of severing everyone in the middle. Everyone, get down, Kakashi shouted and jumped to dodge the sword. And the people, Li Hao, who were reminded also instinctively laid down and escaped the disaster. Only Chian Yu, who was lost in thought as he watched the rapidly approaching sharp blade. What kind of operation is this if you don't cut it, and you throw your weapon out before you start fighting? I think of the previous owner of the beheading sword, Loquat Juzo. It was the werewolf who dared to slash the tailed beast bomb with a knife. So, as long as you hold a beheading sword, will your IQ drop? Holding the scabbard with his right hand, he slightly pushed up a section of the blade, and the invisible air flow wrapped around the Bodu Yusul. Chian Yu didn't mean to dodge at all. If he doesn't kill him so much, he will teach him a lesson he will never forget. Calm down, he whispered in a low voice. The heart is the meaning, and the breath is in harmony with God. Chian Yu Liu Gigi Zontian, draw the sword. A knife strikes, and the world changes. This sword is the ultimate kendo that Chian Yu can achieve. The unparalleled speed of drawing the sword, combined with the strong wind attribute chakra, can cut everything. The dazzling knife light emerged, beautiful and dangerous. Under the horrified eyes of everyone, the menacing beheading sword was directly divided into two. Zabuza in the air shrank his pupils. Originally, Kakashi was the only opponent in his eyes. Now a little devil has cut his decapitation knife in half with a single strike, and the handsome landing action that has been designed cannot be used. In desperation, he could only jump to the side of the beheading sword. Little devil, it seems that I underestimate you, to have such a sharp weapon. He picked up the severed beheading sword, and his tone was cold and harsh. Chian Yu put the sword back into its sheath, and the smooth and dripping knife made his kendo realm improve. I didn't expect that someone would be stupid enough to throw their own weapons out as hidden weapons. At the same time, the system prompt sound in the mind also sounded at the right time. Kill one person, save a country, destroy it without slaying, get 500 points, and the ice shield and blood will follow the limit. Ice shield, is it because of white? Chian Yu's eyes swept across, and soon found by hiding in the dark. But he didn't look too much, so as not to attract the attention of the other party. Zai Bi Yuzan's face is very ugly. Originally, he wanted to use a first mover approach to build up his momentum, but it was completely destroyed by Chian Yu. Even the knife was broken. Fortunately, the characteristic of the beheading sword is to absorb the blood of the enemy to complete self-repair, and go back and kill some people at will. Otherwise, he would have to fight with Chian Yu. As the famous Zabuza actually appearing in such a small place. Kakashi stood in front of Chian Yu with a solemn expression. As a teacher, even if Chian Yu's strength is very strong, he should stand in front of each other. Naruto, little Sakura, Sasuke, you finished glyph protect Dazna. Taking precautions, Kakashi opened the forehead protector, and the three Tomo Sharingan stared at the enemy in front of him. This is Mist Shinobi's betrayal of forbearance, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Momoji, don't cut it, don't let it go. Copy ninja, Kakashi. Zabuza's eyes were also solemn. The legendary Konoha elite Jonin, who copied thousands of ninjutsu styles, didn't expect you to be the opponent this time. The two exchanged business blows, and Chian Yu rolled his eyes when he saw it. Is this to highlight the opponent's brilliance, so as to improve your own brilliance? Chian Yu said he had learned. He has the mind to rant here. The cold sweat on the faces of the trio fell. The figure of Zabuza disappeared instantly and came to the surface of the water. Ninja mist shinobi technique. The thick white mist spread out, countless times bigger than the mist they encountered in the morning. Oops. Kakashi's eyes widened, restraining him too much. The fog of the main film is full of chakra who is not cut, and his Sharingan can only capture the approximate direction. Then he expected the advantage of the enemy to be the first 530 will no longer exist. Kakashi, can your Sharingan see your death? The voice of Zabuza came from all directions, making people unable to figure out his position at all. Kakashi is also not to be outdone, I only saw your way of death. The two of them burst out their murderous aura at the same time, and the three of Sasuke fell into an ice cellar. It was as if the substantive murderous aura made every inch of their skin tingle. Is this the true strength of Jonin? Sasuke's pupils widened, his arms trembling as he tried to raise them, but he couldn't. 8 places: throat, spine, lungs, liver, carotid artery, subclavian artery, kidney, heart, which part do you want me to attack? The classic speech of Zabuza finally appeared, and Chian Yu was also very interested. When I watched this episode in my previous life, I felt that it would be too terrifying not to cut, and I had studied killing as a skill. And now it just sounds ridiculous. The quickest way to kill is to destroy his brain with one blow, because even if the heart is destroyed, there will be 2 seconds remaining. Enough ninja to complete the counter kill, or pass information. However, the murderous aura that just didn't kill him also enveloped him, which made Chian Yu a little uncomfortable. Kakashi-sensei, step back. Chian Yu took the lead with both hands, and a ninjutsu originated from second generation quietly formed. Ninja darkness technique. Endless darkness began to spread, quickly wrapping this piece of space. If you don't cut it, can your silent killing technique still be used? After all this was done, Chian Yu was the one who started taunting. As far as pretending is concerned, he can't even do the 2 pillars. And if he doesn't cut it, he will be a complete muggle. Isn't this kid a swordsman ninja? How can he still be so strong in ninjutsu? This is even more thorough than the mist shinobi technique, which is simply out of reach. Under the darkness, only Chian Yu can move normally. In an instant, he came to Zabuza's side, and Thunder's shining right hand pierced his chest. Relying on years of ninja intuition, he avoided the key point without taking any risks, but he also suffered some minor injuries. Magic mirror ice crystal technique. At the same time, dozens of mirrors appeared, and the light reflected from each other completely cracked the dark line technique. No matter what, he took the opportunity to distance himself from him. In this regard, although Chian Yu was surprised, he was already mentally prepared. As long as it is a ninjutsu, there is a possibility of being cracked. A masked ninja dressed as Anbu appeared in front of Zabuza. If you don't kill your lord, are you alright? HMPH, Zabuza snorted coldly, took off a bandage BJFB, and wrapped it around the wound. Didn't I ask you to act as a supporter? Masked ninja, Shiro's tone was still mild. The situation has changed. I am worried that you will be in danger facing Kakashi and this boy at the same time. While speaking, he also took off his mask, revealing a more delicate face than a woman. Sure enough, it must be a boy who is so cute. If he didn't cut it again, he didn't say anything stubborn. If he hadn't made a timely move, he would be really dangerous. Chian Yu, what should I do now? This is the boundary of the land of water. Kakashi came to Chian Yu and stood side by side with him. What else can I do? One by one, if you don't kill me, you will deal with the new ones. What about us, Chian Yu? Naruto stood beside Dazna and shouted unwillingly. Seeing his companions and teachers fighting in front, he was able to hide behind him timidly. This feeling is very uncomfortable. You guys, just protect that stinky old man, remember, just don't die. Chian Yu said without turning his head. Sasuke's teeth are about to shatter. Why are all of them so strong? Immediately afterwards, his eyes quickly turned red, and there was only one Sharingan of Tomo, under this unwilling mood. It has evolved into a double Tomo. However, even with a double Tomo, he still has no say in the battlefield. The little Sakura was even more unbearable. She just wanted to stay by Dazna's side and silently wait for Chian Yu and Kakashi to solve the enemy in front of her. I'll go first. Chian Yu took a step forward and made a seal with one hand. Wind style once the typhoon passes. The fog on the battlefield was instantly blown away by the swift typhoon, and Kakashi regained his vision and quickly threw 3 kunai. Bai stepped on one foot, and water splashed on the ground. Secret skill, 1000 kills Shui Shang. Thousands of books made of water droplets flew out, and some of them collided with kunai and made a clinking sound. More are still flying towards Chian Yu and Kakashi. Chian Yu didn't mean to give in at all, and directly cut out a passage with the Bodu Yuhun in his hand. The blood-colored 3 tomo appeared, and no matter how tricky the angle was, the 1000 copies were clearly seen. Without a cold snort, he started to seal the seal. He was just careless, and he returned to such an easy move. There are water sources all around, and this is his home ground. Chian Yu smiled disdainfully. If Terumi was here, he would really be afraid of the other party's water style. But you get a 44 print water dragon bomb. Also match. Quickly forging 6 seals, Maru Shing Kosuke taught water style from 2nd generation. Although it failed to reach that height, the 6 seals were far more than 1 grade faster than no cut. Water style water dragon bomb. Under the terrified gaze of Zabuza, a ferocious water dragon emerged from the lake, roaring towards Zabuza. Zabuza, who was still in the state of the seal, was directly hit. The powerful impact made him unable to control his body, and countless uncles were crushed and smashed, and he spit out a mouthful of blood again and again. Don't kill Mr. Bai also saw the tragic situation of not slashing again, and couldn't help but let out an anxious voice. You still worry about yourself. Rao is also a little angry because of Kakashi's lazy temperament. Are you distracted and worried about others when fighting with him? K-Bai's strength is not weak. With the magic mirror ice crystal, his speed is extremely fast, and Kakashi can't solve it for a while. He had to use his superior strength to constantly oppress Bai's moving space. The other side, if he was not smashed by the water dragon for hundreds of meters, if it wasn't for the half-decapitation sword behind him, he resisted most of the impact for him. Now it's not as simple as coughing up blood. Chian Yu deceived himself and wanted to kill Zabuza, who was temporarily unable to act. And at the moment of the cut, he felt that something was wrong. This feel, water splits. Little devil, go to hell. I am the 7 ninja swordsman. Zabuza appeared behind Chian Yu, wielding the broken beheading sword with a grim expression. This time he used all his strength, and even the air made a whistling sound. Once hit, it will immediately die without a corpse. However, Chian Yu's expression was not flustered at all, and Butu Yuhun blocked and directly held up the beheading sword. The 7 ninja swordsmen, is that the group that was kicked into auspicious 3 treasures by Genin of Konoha? The undisguised ridicule directly made the face of the uncut face turn green, coupled with the blood on his face. The scene is very funny. As soon as the 2 exerted their strength, they each stepped back. No more cuts. Hearing Chian Yu calling him, he subconsciously looked over. Then I saw a pair of bloody tomo hooked together, forming a mysterious pattern. A strong sense of crisis welled up in my heart, but it was too late. Tsukuyomi launches. Without Zan, the original grim expression became dazed, and Chian Yu's right hand reappeared with lightning. Thousands of sharp spears. A beam of thunder and lightning shot out, instantly piercing the uncut throat. Until death, his consciousness has not been freed from the Tsukuyomi space. There are 7 people with ninja swords. If the ghosts don't cut the peach land again, they will die. Don't kill the adults again. Shiro, who was fighting with Kakashi, felt a pain in his heart and looked out subconsciously. I saw the Chiandori sharp spear mercilessly pierced through the uncut throat. Receiving all of Kakashi's attacks, Shiro ran desperately to Zabuza and picked up his body. Don't kill Mr. As he stroked the face that had lost his voice, there was no light in Bai's eyes. Chian Yu was not shooting, but watched the scene quietly, and even Kakashi came over. Bai gently wiped off the bloodline on Zabuxian's body, facing Chian Yu as a subordinate with a very respectful tone. My only request is to bury me and Mr. Zabuza together. Ah. With a sigh, Chian Yu knew that for Bai, if he didn't cut it, it would be his world. Now that the world is destroyed, he has no reason to live. I agreed, but I need to take the beheading sword with me. Kakashi didn't speak, just stood silently on the side, and he also gave his respect to such a loyal subordinate. Thank you. Bai Kime smiled and slashed his throat with the fragments of the beheading knife. So far, the 2 enemies who first appeared in the original work have all fallen here. It's a pity that this time, Zabuza did not have the glorious experience of the previous life. Without Chian Yu's participation, his resume would be unmatched. Punching Ashura, kicking Indra, crying Haruno Sakura, imprisoning Kakashi in a water dungeon. What even Kagaya can't do, can't be done. The water flow brought by the water style gradually dissipated, revealing the original landform. Chian Yu buried Zabuza and Baihei together according to the agreement. In order to prevent the two from being robbed by Master Yuanmeng, he did not erect a tombstone. After doing all this, several talents are on the road again. The difference is that Dazna's pace is much easier. The three of Sasuke were unusually silent. They had a panoramic view of the battle just now. Whether it's Chian Yu beheading him or not, or holding back Kakashi in vain, they all brought an unparalleled impact to them. Chian Yu, please teach me to practice. Sasuke suddenly looked at Chian Yu with a sincere and authentic tone. Well, logically speaking, I'm your instructor. Kakashi scratched his head a little embarrassedly, and he also realized that he had indeed taught the three of them nothing. Anyway, we will stay in the country of waves for a while, so let's have a special training. Their task was not to escort Dazna home, but to wait until the bridge was fully completed. It is estimated that it will take half a month. Sasuke didn't answer, but kept staring at Chian Yu, as did Naruto. Kakashi's unreliable image has become deeply rooted in people's hearts. Look at what I do. Kakashi-sensei is a genius of Konoha, and he taught me even chidori. Chian Yu shrugged. Basic things he didn't want to waste time with Urzuzi and Naruto at all. Hearing this, Sasuke agreed. Kakashi was speechless for a while. Has he been so out of place? Back in the village where Dazna was located, the old man quickly spread the news that Chian Yu and Kakashi had killed the Kato hand genin to the villagers. The villagers cheered. Great, we have hope. Finally, can I finally ask Cardo's claws? Countless people cried with excitement and looked at them with admiration. This left Naruto and the others at a loss. The reason is that from the very beginning, they were a hindrance. In the evening, Chian Yu's figure flew out of the residence and ran towards the direction of the Cardo company that the villagers said. He did not forget that the main purpose of this visit was Cardo. As one of the richest people in the ninja world, Cardo has countless subordinates. Even in addition to Zaifu, there are also several wandering ninjas as guards. But in the face of Sharingan, trash fish is just trash fish no matter how much. Chian Yu was soon led by a ninja controlled by Sharingan to Kato's residence. The sound of the first fighting outside had already entered the room. Seeing Chian Yu appearing, Cardo did not panic, but was unusually calm. Let me live, and I will leave the land of waves forever, and give you a lot of money. Aren't you ninjas doing missions for money? 1 million taels, as long as you leave, I will give you 1 million. Seeing that Chian Yu was still indifferent, he couldn't sit still and kept increasing the price. 2 million, 3 million, up to 10 million. Finally, Chian Yu moved. Sharingan stared, and Cardo obediently handed over all his cash. Chian Yu scanned it roughly, at least 300 million. 10 Asumas are here. His, Chian Yu, is finally here. Half an hour later, the most ornate building on the island exploded, destroying the entire building. But after doing all this, Chian Yu went home and went back to sleep as if nothing had happened. The next day, when the villagers heard the news, they kept shouting that the sky has eyes. Only Kakashi looked at Chian Yu, who had been smiling brightly since this morning, thoughtfully. He was sure that this matter had something to do with his proud disciple. Without outside pressure, Kakashi finally had time to teach Sasuke and the others. Under a vigorous tree, Kakashi was explaining the essentials of tree climbing. Chian Yu was also idle when he was idle, and simply sat beside him to join in the fun. Kakashi-sensei, what I want to learn is ninjutsu, the kind of ninjutsu used by Chian Yu. Naruto is a little dissatisfied, who can't climb a tree. Naruto, Kakashi rubbed his head vigorously, learning ninjutsu requires strong chakra control, and your current strength is not enough. That's right, Chian Yu, who entered the theater mode, took out the tea table and chairs and brewed a pot of hot tea. It was also sent by Hinata, and it is said that Hiashi asked her to pass it on to Chian Yu. After Kakashi finished teaching the skills, he also lay down on the other side, took out Intimacy Paradise, and watched it comfortably. I said, Kakashi-sensei, you have read this book for several years, haven't you read enough? Looking at the book that was about to be ground into pulp, Chian Yu was a little puzzled. Although Chian Yu did not know anything about this book, he also knew some information. So far, Intimacy Paradise has published a book, and the follow-up new works have not kept up. 3 years ago, Kakashi had this book in his hand, and now, he still can't get tired of reading it. What a loyal reader this must be. If there was a certain Lu in the previous life, author Go would be able to offer him up. What do you know, Jiraiya-sama's books get better the more you read them. Kakashi didn't lift his head, completely immersed in the world of books. Chian Yu was silent, and finally asked, "Can you show it to me then?" He was so curious as to how much H was needed to make Kakashi fall in love. Even honest people like Yamato or his loyal readers. This time, Kakashi raised his head, his eyes a little tangled. It stands to reason that Chian Yu is not yet an adult, so naturally he cannot give it. But Chian Yu's character is already very mature, so it shouldn't be a big deal, right? After hesitating for a while, Kakashi took out another copy of Intimacy Paradise from his ninja bag and handed it over. "Hurry up and return it to me after reading it, you can't keep it." Chian Yu was shocked. "You actually brought 2 copies?" Looking at the small ninja bag, he doubted whether there was any room for kunai and shuriken. Kakashi looked right, 1 for reading, 1 for preaching, and 1 for collection at home, isn't it normal? "It has to be you." Chian Yu expressed his admiration and appreciated the book when he received it. For a whole afternoon, the 3 of Sasuke practiced desperately, and these 2 guys watched the 18th ban right here. After reading it, Chian Yu shook his head in dissatisfaction. "That's it. It's not exciting at all. Think about the browsing records in your mobile phone that have not been destroyed, this is simply a romance novel." Kakashi seemed to be greatly insulted. "You know what, isn't this exciting? My body can't take it anymore." "Say he can, say, Intimacy Paradise, number." There was pity in Chian Yu's eyes, the people in the ninja world were still too pure. "Forget it, don't argue with him. As the sun sets, the day's training ends here." Little Naruto Sakura Sasuke dragged his tired body toward the village, in stark contrast to the laid-back Kakashi and Chian Yu. Cardo is dead, and the villagers have a huge bonfire dinner tonight. The hilarious atmosphere also infected Chian Yu and his party, and even Sasuke showed a rare smile on his face. The banquet did not end until late at night. For the next half-month, Chian Yu was rotten during the day and slipped into Naruto's stomach from time to time at night to chat with Namikaze Minato and discuss Flying Thunder God. Every time they see Chian Yu come in, Nine Tails will look forward to it. Usually Namikaze Minato's chakra is sealed, and only when Chian Yu comes can he come out to get some air. Every time Nine Tails sees Minato appear, he will spit out the fragrance, and then go back to sleep refreshed. With Minato's help, Chian Yu's second stage of Flying Thunder God has been perfected, with 8 out of 10 successes. Flying Thunder God also has some eyebrows. And Minato can also get a lot of Naruto's information from Chian Yu. As for being scolded by Nine Tails, it had no effect on him at all. It can be said that everyone is happy. Naruto and they are still training chakra's control every day. Climbing trees is just the most basic of them, and they have to face steep cliffs and slippery rocks later. Except that little Sakura was gifted in this area and succeeded without much effort. The other 2 suffered a lot. The greater the amount of chakra, the harder it is for the control of chakra to improve. Needless to say, Naruto has a troublemaker in his body. Even Sasuke's mental strength soared after opening his eyes, and he even surpassed the average special Jonin with chakra. These 2 people often get bruised and bruised all over. Fortunately, Chian Yu's presence will not affect the training the next day. However, Chian Yu did not lose, and took another wave of wool from Naruto's body. Uzumaki physique. Different from Naruto, after he obtained the vortex physique, he mastered the magical exploration skill of Kagura's mind. Half a month later, the bridge was finally completed. Witnessed by countless people, the 5 Chian Yu became the first users of the bridge. Lord Chian Yu, this bridge symbolizes hope, and I hope it can be named after you. Dishonor looked at Chian Yu expectantly, and said very excitedly. Chian Yu shook his head. "I'm just here to get the job done, don't do it. If you have to use our name, use Naruto's name." This time, Chian Yu not only got Cardo's assets, but also brushed to the limit of Ice Shield's blood. As for the name, Naruto Bridge is more appropriate. After hearing his suggestion, Dazona thought for a moment and then agreed immediately. Make Naruto as happy as one. A day later, Chian Yu and the others saw the Konoha gate again. It took several days when I went to take care of Dazna, an ordinary person. When they came back, the strength of everyone had improved significantly, and the speed naturally increased a lot. It only took a day and a half to travel through most of the country of fire. Inside the Hokage building, although he already knew about the change on the way from the message from Kakashi, third generation was still full of emotion. I didn't expect that an ordinary C-level mission would encounter Kurigakure's S-level rebellion. Fortunately, it's your team. Third generation didn't finish talking about the latter. If Asuma and the others received this task, they would not be able to guarantee that they would retreat. At the same time, he also gained a deeper understanding of Chian Yu's strength. After crushing the elite Jonin almost all the way, he also learned the dark technique of second generation. If it wasn't for the sudden appearance of the Ice Shield Blood Relay boundary owner, it is very likely that he would be instantly killed if he didn't cut it again. Chian Yu has been able to be on his own. A smile appeared on third generation's face, especially looking at the scrolls on the desk. Inside is a beheading sword. Chian Yu has no interest in the beheading sword, but he feels that he should give something in return for taking so many benefits from third generation. This beheading sword was his gift. I don't know how much good stuff can be extorted from Kurigakure. Touching the scroll, third generation's face showed an old fox-like smile. Before leaving the Hokage building, Chian Yu asked for information on Hinata and Ino. When he learned that Ino was out of the village to perform a mission, and Hinata and the others were free, he opened Kagura's mind and found Hinata's chakra. Training Ground No. 13. When Chian Yu came here, the 8th group of 3 were still doing their own training. Ya and Akamaru aimed at a tree and kept using Tongya, a ninjutsu technique that uses high-speed rotation to attack the enemy. Chian Yu prefers to call it a pig by leaps and bounds. Shino's training is much quieter, he only needs to silently cultivate the bugs in his body. Hinata, on the other hand, is doing physical training with Yuhika. Hinata, I'm back. Chian Yu did not show up immediately, but admired the beauties fighting for a while. The collision between two beauties, one big and one small, made him feel a little excited. It wasn't until the two paused that Chian Yu jumped out. Hinata looked surprised. Chian Yu, you're finally back. The separation this time took more than half a month. Hong Yuhi looked at the young couple who were tired and crooked together, and her stomach swelled. I said, can you find a place where there is no one if you want to make out? Teacher, it's very painful for me at my age. Hearing Kurenai Yuhi's complaint, Hinata blushed, while Chian Yu didn't change her face. If Teacher Hong is envious, you can find one yourself. Because of Hinata's relationship, he and Yuhika have a lot of dealings, and the little jokes about opening a shop are completely harmless. On the other hand, Kurenai Yuhi looked distressed. Doesn't she want to look for it? Of course she wanted to find a suitable man to spend the rest of her life with. However, it was too difficult to find a suitable one on her terms. The first one, in terms of strength, should be at least a special Jonin, who will screen out countless people at once. The second one, with strength, must be a strong person about the same age as her. Konoha's generation of Red basically knows. Kakashi is naturally the most handsome among them, but unfortunately now he looks crooked, holding Jiraiya's book every day, very unreliable. Might Guy, forget about that, hot eyes. There is also Sarutobi Asuma, who is chasing her, and she was really excited at first. But after seeing Chian Yu's prosperous face again, that monkey face, no matter how you look at it, you can't get used to it. Even the recent communication with Asuma has been embarrassing. So, it's still Chian Yu's pot. Thinking of this, Hong Yuhi looked at Chian Yu with a bit of resentment. Chian Yu, who was keenly aware of this, took a step back involuntarily. Forget it, I'll give Hinata a half day off this afternoon. Yuhi waved his hands in dismay, indicating that Chian Yu and the others can leave. However, Chian Yu shook his head. No, I can't delay Hinata's practice because of my presence. He knew that soon after returning from the 7th class, the Chunin exam would come. Even though his existence made this mission a lot faster, it didn't take a few more days. Now the strength has increased by 1 point, and there is also 1 more point of protection. Hinata heard the words and nodded vigorously. She naturally knew the importance of strength. In one afternoon, Chian Yu acted as a sparring partner. Today's Hinata is barely able to use 8 trigrams 32 palms, although not weak, but too limited. There was no better way for Chian Yu to do this. The physique of the Hyuga family is somewhat special, with a strong chakra, but lacks talent in attribute changes. This has evolved into what it is today, using the powerful chakra with the white eye to carry out taijutsu attacks. The same is true for Hinata. Chian Yu taught her a few ninjutsu a long time ago, such as Great Fireball. Although it can be used reluctantly, the power, indescribable. It's better to practice the Hyuga-style gymnastics well, and strive for Master Revolving Heaven before the exam. Seeing Chian Yu so diligently tutoring Hinata, Hong Yuhi's face also showed a smile. After getting along for a while, she also has an unusual love for Hinata. There is no delicacy of the ninja eldest lady, she is gentle and polite, and the most important thing is that she looks so cute. Nominally they are mentors and apprentices, but they are actually sisters. In order to thank Chian Yu for his help in the afternoon, Hong Yuhi took the 8th shift and he went directly to a pub. Whatever you want, just order it. Holding a bottle of wine in his hand, Hong Yuhi's aura changed completely, greeting like a big sister. The 8th class looked at each other with helplessness on their faces. Their teacher is good at everything, but he drinks and is a little bold. After an hour, why are the people I know so unreliable? Hong Yuhi's complexion was flushed red, and her hands slapped the table heavily, which startled the surrounding guests. Then she lay down on the table, without life. After seeing the ninja forehead protector of several people, the rest of the guests chose to remain silent. In Konoha, ninjas are still not easy to provoke. Looking at Hong Yuri, who looked like an old woman who hated marrying a girl, Chian Yu expressed that she had learned a lot. Your teacher is very interesting. Hinata couldn't hold her head up in embarrassment. As for Ya and Shino, after Yuhika showed signs of alcoholic madness, he slipped away long ago when he saw that the situation was not good. Chian Yu, let's go here today. Well, that's it for this meal. After leaving the restaurant, Hong Yuhi was being held by Chian Yu, and Hinata was too short, so both of them felt uncomfortable. The hard work fell on him. Chian Yu, it's too late now, I have to go home, please help me take teacher Yuhihiro home. Looking at the time, Hinata was a little anxious. Okay, you can go back first and leave it to me. Chian Yu nodded. But when Hinata left, he was a little dumbfounded. Where does Hong Yuhi live? Hinata didn't tell him. Looking at Hinata who had disappeared long ago, he sighed. Forget it, take it home and make do with it for one night. Anyway, there are guest rooms in the house, so there is no problem at all to clean up and live alone. It is said that drunk people will gain weight, but Chian Yu has no such feeling at all. Although Hong Yuhi was full of alcohol, it smelled a little unpleasant. But this flamboyant figure is completely leaning against his arms, which makes people feel uneasy. After a lot of perseverance, Chian Yu brought the sunset red home intact and threw it in a guest room. He didn't even tidy up, he simply made a bed and hurried to take a shower. Gotta have a cold shower. The next day, early morning. The sound of screaming enough to pierce the eardrum directly woke Chian Yu from his sleep. What's wrong? Looking at Kurenai Yuhi sitting on her bed, she fell into a daze. Is this woman sick? She came to her house early in the morning and yelled. Why am I in your house? Yuhi Kung's face was full of grief and anger, and the scene when she woke up in the morning and was hugged by this little man made her whole person stupid. Chian Yu helplessly rubbed his messy hair and explained, you drank too much last night, Hinata has to go home quickly, so I can only send you back. But Xiaonizi walked too fast and didn't tell me your address, so you can only bring it back to me first. After listening to it, Hong Yuhi's face not only did not improve, but became even more angry. So you let me sleep in the same bed with you. Originally thought that Chian Yu was very popular, but instantly felt that he was seeing the wrong person. Only then did Chian Yu realize that something was wrong. There were obvious dents on the other side of the bed, as well as the dampness on the cuffs of his pajamas. He raised his hand and pointed to the wet place. You flow. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.